Yes. Anthony.
What's up, buddy? Oh, this is cool.
Yeah, it turns us different. It turns us on top of
Top and
each
bottom.
other. Not the
Oh,
same people.
don't say that.
uh,
That's for when we're
so,
not live.
that's for the after party.
Mm-hmm.
I figured to try this out and see what this is all about.
Yeah, this
Aaron,
is cool.
since Aaron's not here, it lets you create a link and then send it to the person that you want to go live with, and then you can just go live with each other. I haven't ate dinner or anything, so I'm. What's up, fellas? What's going on? See,
Hey,
I like
everybody.
the comment section popping up right here in front of our face.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of cool.
I'm waiting for my land shark to get cold, so I'm drinking a Corona.
Ah,
Ah,
what's up, Joe? 42 people in here already. Loving it. Loving it. What's going
oh, I
on?
gotta hit that like button. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Live chat.
I'm eating dinner while we're talking, guys, because I came home and I just literally started doing stuff at the house right away, responding to comments and stuff right away. And all right. I see you. I see you. A dog, the neighbor dog. Pete, go in the house.
Uh, Porch Monkey texted me and was like, "Are you guys going live tonight?" And I was like, "Yeah, where are you at? We're already live." He was like, "Are you messing with me?"
Okay. I'm doing my thing right now. Take it inside. Pete already.
You want to like
Huh?
You want to like this?
Oh,
This is fine right here. Hey, go in the house. All right, I'm trying to get set up here. I have to take the voice box. I love dogs, but that is one annoying dog. I sometimes feel like I take the voice box out of that thing. Uh, anyhow,
why? Why does the Gen 3 Coyote have two different firing orders? A pain in the ass for rebuilding.
what are you talking about? Two different firing orders.
It doesn't have two
Explain
different
more.
firing.
I
It's got
never
two.
knew that.
It's got two different sets of injectors, a direct and a port.
Yeah, the more you guys thumb up the video and interact and leave comments and stuff like that, the more the videos get out there and they can see the community. People know that we're here.
Aaron's at a concert.
Yeah, he's
So
at
he
a
hasn't.
concert and
He
and
was sending me pictures. He was sending me pictures a minute ago. Eric's in here.
oh yeah, what's up, Eric? Let me put this dog inside. If my dog's out, that other dog's gonna be acting.
Uh, yeah, the Mustang and the truck, they are different intake cams. It's a different oil pan. The firing order, I think, is a little bit different. I think the phasers are the same, though, if I'm not mistaken.
I looked it
Because
up,
when,
and there was a 5 liter Coyote group that was talking about all this, and there was one of the engine builder specialists. He popped up and he said exhaust manifolds are different,
yeah,
the camshafts are different, the front covers of the engines are set up different, the way the tune is different.
yeah, the
There's very
calibration's
little.
different. Yeah.
There's very little that's actually different about it, though.
I mean, just looking at it, like me and you looking at it, we could probably see some differences if they were next to each other. But just
Sure.
normal Joe Schmo probably wouldn't know the difference. One of the main things is the calibration is different. One is for
Yeah.
horsepower, one is for torque.
Right. And the way when I got my when Eric sent me Um, when Eric sent me the engine, I started looking up what I had to do for it, and one of the main things was like you need to source out a front cover for
There's 16
a.
injectors. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
You need to. One of the first things you got to do is you got to source out the front cover for a Mustang because it's laid out a little bit better on how you're going to run your accessories and stuff like that. With most of the kits to do the retro mod on the Thunderbird, whenever I install that 6R80 and stuff,
Hmm.
and it's they were suggesting doing the intake cams from a Mustang. The exhaust cams are the same, um, and then getting an unlocked PCM from Power by the Hour, and you got to order your own custom. It's like a cross member that goes across. It's like $1,000 or something for it, but it's a custom. It fits the 6R80, but then you kind of like I think you weld in the brackets where they go, so so you kind of custom fit it to where it needs to be,
Mm.
and it's a patchless system, and so you can run that Coyote with a Power by the Hour wiring harness and stuff like that, and it seems to be pretty clean cut and dry on how it all gets hooked up.
It's not too hard. Remember, I did that. Well, this is a 2013, which is the Gen 1.
Yeah.
We took it out of a truck and actually put it into a Fox body Mustang, a 90s model Fox body. And we changed the cam, we changed the oil pan, and I told you when I talked to you, we took the engine calibration from a Mustang GT and recalibrated that engine. So, and there was a few other things we did. We had to get a body control module for it so we could program the key and all that stuff. And basically, when it was ready to start, just turned the key on and it started. No
Yeah.
hesitation at all. It dropped right in, like no modification needed. It was pretty cool. Like those Ford instructors, when we go to manufacturer training, those guys are smart, man. Like,
What does this guy say? Greetings from Texas. I talk about my 19 F-150 and how I love my truck. And a Honda Ridgeline is not a truck. It's an illegitimate love child of a Prius and an El Camino.
still better than a Toyota.
Ah, yeah.
Uh,
This is my
Still better.
Coyote. This is my. This is for fighting and this is for fun. Ah, love it.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Somebody said something about a Ranger. The little metal piece inside the spark plug wire came out. Uh, I think if I read it correctly, it was still attached to the spark plug. So I don't know if he was talking about the metal piece inside the wire or if he's talking about the porcelain of the plug. The comment was going pretty fast. Hey, Lisa.
What is it? I mainly build pushrod motors, so it took a bit of reading for sure. But now I'm just finishing up putting together a Gen 5 Whipple for it. Well, I tell you
Nice.
what, you're gonna like the way that overhead valve setup is versus a pushrod engine. There's nothing wrong with the pushrod engine. I was just given an LS that I drove the other day, all the praise in the world. But coming from a a supercharged 5 liter Coyote versus a supercharged pushrod LS, because of the volumetric efficiency and how it makes power, I'd rather have the supercharged Coyote all day. It just comes
Yeah.
on board so much faster and there's so much less delay. I love the way they perform. But I was just in a really mean, naturally aspirated 20 over 6 liter the other day that was just absolutely loved it.
The 5.0 by itself is already powerful just right off the factory floor. I mean,
Yeah.
the Mustang is a very powerful car. Um, and it weighs like 1,800 pounds less or something. Charger. So,
The hub clicking noise, Joe. I mean, we beat that with a bat here on this channel. I have so many videos about the hub clicking stuff. I mean,
that's nothing new.
I have like 4 or 5 videos on the F-150s with the hubs clicking and the fusions with the CV axles clicking in the wheel. I mean, that's nothing new here.
Eric wants to know how long we're going to be on. He just sent me a message.
I mean, a little while. I mean,
Yeah.
I was thinking about giving everybody some FaceTime tonight because Aaron's not going to be here, and I was like, may as well entertain some people for a little bit.
Yeah, most definitely. Oh, it's in the wire. Oh, he broke the metal piece off in the wire. Yeah, you're gonna need to change the wires. That's the little piece that clips onto the end of the spark plug. That's what gives it the electricity.
Well, the whole clicking thing, I mean, just in a nutshell, Joe, is just it's just a poor design of a hub actuator, and it's losing vacuum somehow. Either the diaphragm is blown out, or the line is not holding vacuum, or the check valve is not working properly, or the solenoid isn't working up on the firewall properly. It's a very, very, very simple system, and it's very easy to understand. And any basic tech that's pretty decent at just looking at things and figuring it out, not even trying to get too advanced, should be able to look at that and be like, okay, that actuator pulled in, or that diaphragm pulled in and out. That line goes up there to the solenoid. The vacuum gets pulled from the manifold. So that's good. That's good. That's working. That's oh wait, I've got a broken vacuum line somewhere, or my
Mm-hmm.
diaphragm is not holding vacuum whenever I manually get under there and put a vacuum gauge on my hub actuator. It's not staying, 18, 19 inches of vacuum, 20 inches of it's not holding it. So there's obviously a problem here. What do we got?
Um,
Just what the F moment today I received my Ford Performance cam covers for Coyote. There were two left side cam covers. This was a brand new. Yeah, I know. I know. Would you pick a dealer or mom and pop shop to perform 10-year, 100,000 mile service? Well, uh, it depends on the vehicle. If it was a vehicle that still had a manufacturer extended warranty and stuff on it, I would go to the dealer. Obviously, I want that documented very well from the dealer. If you don't have, I just had a lady call me up the other day and say my Audi's ready for its 80,000 mile service, or it was a Volkswagen Audi, whatever, same shit. And I went over it and I was like, okay, so spark plugs, engine air filter, cabin air filter, make sure the oil's good, make sure the transit's serviced. Those are all basic things that any place should take care of, should be able to take care of. Now, I can tell you right now, as an independent shop GM and owner stake, let's just put it that way without getting too personal. Um, I'd love to do your service. I don't have the overhead in case something goes south really bad on that vehicle. I got an insurance policy, but dealerships typically have a much better insurance policy. Now, my relationship with you is going to be much more personal than going to the dealership. I can tell you that. I try to make every single one of my customers happy. I can only speak from my experience. I'm going to be much more intimate with what's going on with you, what you need, your desires, what the quality of the service that you want. And I'm going to try to make that happen because I want you to come back. A dealership, most of the time, they're not really struggling to get work in the door. And I'm not really either. I'm very, very busy in the heart of Chicago. But I want return customers. I want return quality customers. So my service is probably going to be a little bit better at coming to my place because of how I care versus going to the dealer where some young kid or something like that or some semi-skilled tech is not making a damn thing and they're really getting pushed and taxed to get work done. So that should be enough for an answer right there.
kind of touching on that, how you get close with customers and stuff. One of our subscribers commented on one of my videos and asked me a question that nobody's ever asked me before, and I thought it pretty cool. I'm actually going to have a video coming out about it tomorrow. He said, "Do you like it, or when you were at the dealer, did you like it when a customer wrote you a note and told you all the symptoms that were going on, or do you like it better when the service advisor does it?" And I said, "I like it when the customer does it because the service advisor is just going to kind of shorthand it. Hey, look, they said it sputters going down the road." But when the customer does it, hey, it sputters going down the road at 75 miles an hour when it's 85 degrees outside at full operating temperature. That's what I've noticed. So that right there in general, I can kind of get on the customer's level instead of wasting an hour of my time when it's not going to do it right then and there. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
can I can wait for the temperature. If it's early in the morning, I can wait for the temperature to get up to 85 degrees and then go take it down the road and get it up at operating temperature and I can spend more time with that vehicle and getting straight to the problem. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Instead
Yeah.
of wasting my morning when it may not do it. So when the customer gives a little handwritten note, this is what it's doing. This is when I noticed it's doing it, stuff like that. I personally like that. I don't know about you, but it puts me in better communication with the customer because, the service advisor deals with how many people a day? They're just trying to print work orders and then, oh, sputters, check engine lights on here, go fix it. Like, come on now. The more information you have, the better. It'll make everything go a lot more smoothly.
Oh, this guy here says 13 Fusion 1.6 throwing a P1299, which I think that's what is that, overboost condition?
Overboost.
It doesn't have said sensor and coolant level is full. Watching live data and temp would allow coolant. I thought
1290
1299.
1299 is not an overboost. 1299 is a
What is the overboost one that pops up all the time?
I know
Nothing.
underboost. Damn, I'm having a brain fart now.
What is 1299? You're referencing this. I can tell you right. I'm just going to tell you right now, Joseph. Not trying to be rude. There's certain things as techs we remember, but a lot of times when you guys throw numbers at us, I'm thinking about so much stuff during the day. It doesn't really come to me. It's always nice when somebody references a code and what the scan tool calls it. If you could tell me what it means, then I'll hit on it some more. Phantom Tone, thank you. Well, you're welcome. Phantom, or what up, boss man? What's up, Jay? See you tomorrow, bright and early.
Underboost is 299.
That's what it is. 299.
Yeah, 299.
What's 1299?
I don't know.
I don't know. I I hired Jay part time to work for me, so he's been.
299 1299 is, well, if he's dealing with coolant, man, it's probably going to be coolant level low. It wouldn't be engine overheat condition. I
I
don't
thought
think.
1299 was something to do with vacuum or something like that, or I don't. I have to look,
O-
man. I ain't got a computer in front of me to look right now, but
Over,
anyway.
o- overhead temp sensor protection active.
Oh, the damn sensors go bad in those things.
Oh yeah, it's a bias sensor.
The
Yeah,
sensors go bad in them. I've replaced a lot of the sensors in them, and then sometimes if that's the one where it's got the rubber cover that pops up underneath it and kind of hides it.
yeah, it's straight down in the cylinder head, isn't it? In between the spark plugs. You talking about that one?
Yeah, it's pain in the butt to get out. You got to have like
Uh huh.
I can get it out, but I've become accustomed to shoving my fingers down in there and hurting myself to get it out of there. But um, it's kind of a pain in the butt. You got to peel the rubber back, and it's nice to have something flat to push up against it instead of something pointy because you'll break the clip, and then you can pull it out of there, and the sensor's right there. I think it's right there in the middle of the damn cylinder head. But
Was
anyway,
buying was buying
Jay,
a 13 6.2 120K. Bad idea. What's the service record on that? The six the 6.2 is a really good engine. I know everybody talks about the intake manifold and they're on intergalactic back order, which I did find out. The 2017 back model, you can buy the actuator separate. On the 18 and newer, you have to do the whole intake manifold. On the 17 and back, you have to make sure that the rod that connects to the actuator is not broken, though. Uh, those are available as far as the intake goes for 17 back. There's like 15,000 of them that are on back order. I checked yesterday, I think. They're in transit to dealerships across the U.S. right now. There is a few dealers that have them, but not many of them. A little bit of information because everybody's been asking me about 6.2s here lately.
so who has them and who doesn't?
There's dealerships, just sporadic ones. There's a few in Texas that may have one or two on the shelf, but there's 15,000 of them in transit. So
Van Soren, your mom doesn't have a 3.6 liter EcoBoost in her Explorer. She's got a
it's
3.5 liter
3.5.
EcoBoost, and it is a pain in the ass to change a water pump in that for just a regular person. So
Yeah,
if you ain't never done anything like that, I mean, it's going to take you. If you don't have any experience wrenching in tight spots and tedious spots and making sure everything is like critical to the point where you're going to destroy the engine if one thing's off or something's going to break, like bad to where you're going to cost her thousands of dollars, don't even do the job. Take it to somebody that already knows exactly where the water pump is at, what's going on. That's not a job that a regular DIY person wants to do. That's not
That's
for.
that's because that water pump is part of the timing system. It's behind the timing cover. So that's why Rich is saying that. It's
And
not an
you
easy
don't
spot
have
to get to.
you don't have a lot of room. Guys that are seasoned that know what they're doing, they know how to sneak stuff in and get it out because they've done so many of them. But there are people that don't even want to attempt with the space that you have that will literally just drop the whole cradle out from underneath it and do the timing chain and everything out of the vehicle because they've been accustomed to doing that and they're just as fast as the people that try to use the tight space. So there was a girl on TikTok not too long ago, and I gave her some guidance or whatever, a little bit of guidance on it, talked to her a little bit about it. She dropped the engine down on uh, a table and she just did it right there and then put it back
Mhm.
in. And she said that was my first time, and actually doing it that way, I really like. And I still met book time by doing it exactly like I did by just dropping it down on the table, doing everything in the open, cleaning everything up real good, putting it all back together, and then I stabbed everything back in. And she said I had no problem at all.
There was a guy that I worked with at the other dealership. He did them that way. I didn't do them that way. But we had this
Yeah.
conversation. It's like, well, if that works for you and you're still making book time or beating book time and everything's done correctly, then it works for you. You know what I mean? If you're still efficient doing it that way, do it that way.
I did them the way you did it, and here's why I did it that way because there's less chances of something breaking. Why
Hmm.
pull bolts out that could be frozen up in like the subframe and stuff like that, and not be able to get the bolts out, snap the bolts and stuff, and then have to go. Now you got to go do an alignment and everything else if you don't have the cradle back properly because it's all shifted sideways. The steer, what is that called? Steer
Steerhead.
at half angle and stuff is all off because of the subframe being shifted a little bit. Come on, Pete.
It's a very tedious job. I think the book time on that was like 14.8 hours or something like that
I mean,
for
it's
the water pump.
you get paid quite a bit, so it's yeah, you're right. It's a tedious job. It's not for just anybody.
Mm. That makes sense. No, you're fine. Thank
You
you.
started cleaning the cat box, and then you left a big old clump of cat litter in the scoop in the middle of the box. So whenever the cat goes to get in the box, she can't do her business. So I know she was there. Yeah, I know you. I know. Finish, finish what you start.
3.2 hours on a dash. What
On
kind of
what?
dash were you pulling out?
I'm going to the room so I can have some light.
Yeah, I'm on my front porch right now. My kids are playing Fortnite. They started Fortnite back up again.
Oh yeah. She was asking me the other day. She says, "Can I put what is it? Not Fortnite, but Roblox or something on your Xbox and everything on the account?" And I said, "Honey, I don't care if you do any other game, but I don't want no Roblox on here because I know what's going to end up happening. You're going to sit down and you're going to be zoned into this thing for hours upon hours upon hours, and you ain't going to be able to do nothing because you're going to be sucked into this TV. No Roblox on my Xbox."
Yeah, they don't play Roblox, man. They just when Fortnite first came out, they were on that, and then they quit for a while, and now they're back on Fortnite. But it's usually like Call of Duty. I've been playing Mortal Kombat with my oldest son, and he kicks my ass in that every time. It's not like when I was a kid. Like
What do you do? Look at it. He's pet me, pet me. You're home, pet me. Um,
you remember
we
that
I
cat that
do.
you remember that cat I found on that Ford Taurus?
Yeah,
Uh, let's see this guy. Go ahead and say what you were saying.
I do. I play a lot of Call of Duty. I love Call of Duty, man. I get down, man. I get like methodical and stuff, and I start calling stuff out across the map. Hey, we got a team coming in about 200 meters out. If you look at 276, there's the compass on the top of the screen as you're moving around, and people don't even know that it's actually there. And I start calling out number locations and stuff like that, and people are like, "What are you talking about? What are you talking? Look at the top of your screen. Oh, I didn't even know that was there."
Man, I don't even know where the cat went. There's three of them running around.
Soul searchers paid $2 asking a question: What would cause a 2015 F-150 EcoBoost to have a vibration or more like road feel through the gas pedal Why driving around 1,500 to 2,000 RPM, my truck has 178,000 miles, new hubs, rotors, 4x4. So you're getting a vibration, more like road feel through the gas pedal, driving around 1,500 to 2,000 RPM. Well,
Mm,
you wouldn't really feel it through the gas pedal because the gas pedal's fly by wire. So uh, unless that vibration is just you're feeling it through the floor and you're thinking that it's the gas pedal, but it's not. I don't. I'm not understanding the assimilation of how you're feeling the vibration, so I can better help you.
that could be a number of things. It could be the type of tires that he has on it that he's feeling through the floorboard, which actually travels up through the accelerator pedal. It could be engine vibration that he's feeling coming through.
And a
Uh,
lot of people that have coyotes experience weird sounds between 1,500 and like 2,500 RPM. I get a lot of people that are saying that their vehicle makes. Oh, it's an EcoBoost. It's not a coyote. Damn it.
yeah, the
That's
Coyote does the barbecue tick,
mine will do
and
it until the high idle comes down. Once the high idle comes down, it's gone.
yeah, and that's usually the Coyote. It's heard in the Mustang and in the truck. It's actually been around since 2011. It's just more noticeable on the newer ones. Um, it's usually prominently heard after an oil change on first startup while it's coming up to operating temperature, and it can be heard all the way up to about 18 to 2,000 RPMs. It's completely normal for that. And then they also have the diesel type knock noise, which you can minimize that by running a higher octane fuel. Um,
Yeah.
it's going to do it no matter what.
The vibration that he's feeling though between 1,500 and 2,000 RPM with that EcoBoost. I guess the way you're explaining that you're feeling it is you're feeling it in the gas pedal. That's what I don't get because the gas pedal is a
It's
drive by
electronic.
wire system. It's
Yeah.
electronic, so there's nothing attached to it that would make you think that it's in the gas pedal unless the vibration is in the floor and you're thinking that it's the gas pedal.
Yep. Is the steering
I'll
wheel shaking?
I'm sure. Well, he said everything's been changed. I mean, all the
But
brakes and everything are all brand new.
but he didn't say anything about tires being rotated or balanced or what kind of tires they are.
I don't know. When I come back to you in the section down below, if you've said anything else, I'll address it again. But 16 F-150, when I unlock the truck or lock the truck, my PCM relay clicks like a clock. Why would that happen? Runs great and doesn't do anything weird besides the clicking noise. Does it keep clicking like click, 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 click when it's off? Are you sure you're not experiencing some kind of mode or position door actuator underneath the dash clicking when you shut it off? It'll do it for a little bit and then it goes away.
U joint on the drive shaft or the slip yoke. Slip yoke, unless it's a solid drive shaft. Noises can be anything, must be properly diagnosed. This is true.
I have a 22 Maverick hybrid can an OBD2 driven heads up display, batteries, condition, RPM, oil pressure, water temp. I don't know. I've never messed with their heads up display to see what can be put on the heads up display. I don't pay attention to them like that.
2019 Transit, 35,000. Brake pedal is almost going to the floor.
Yeah, it's because your rear brakes are probably chewing up your rotors and everything else, and then all
Mm-hmm.
your calipers and all everything else have to be replaced.
Transits are bad for back brakes. Bad.
They're the worst vehicle that Ford has for chewing up brakes within 20, 30,000 miles. They're trash. They're already gone. I have customers come in where the seals are blown out. They've got the damn rotor so hot and everything else. The seals behind the axle, um, the end where it goes into the tube and stuff, the seals got so hot there that it's basically melted and the fluids coming out around that. The calipers and everything else are trashed on it. So hopefully you didn't get yours that far and it's just basic expensive brake job.
Mm-hmm. It's not hard to do those brakes. I actually have a
No,
video of how to take that rotor off. Pop the axle out and turn the rotor to the side.
Yeah, down there where you're at, it's much easier. Up here, it's not like that.
Yeah, we don't have rust like you do.
I did a video live, and people were asking me, "Why do you have to hit the damn rotor so hard like that?" And I said, "You can't get the son of a gun loose from the hub." I think I got two or three videos of doing the transit rear brakes and showing people how bad the calipers and stuff are up here.
Hmm.
And they just get tore up here.
Yeah, the brakes are kind of small for that for the Transit.
2008 Fusion downstream O2 sensor location. What's up with that? It's downstream of the catalytic converter.
It's on the back side of the cat.
It's where the catalytic converter is. It's right after it.
Deep sleep issues on the
And are
Ford
we
Mav
talking
hybrids.
about a V6 or are we talking about a four cylinder?
Upstream is before the cat. Downstream is after the cat. I'm 40K miles on a 21 Explorer ST. Oil change at home every 3 to 4K with AMS oil, no issues. What would y'all do in this situation? Well, you're not having any issues, so I don't know what situation. Uh,
Are you saying would you run it longer? Is that what you're? I can tell you right now from experience, the Explorer ST, there's a lot of fuel dilution with that engine. Every single one that I've serviced by about 4 or 5 thousand miles, no matter what oil you put in it, you smell the fuel in it, and it just reeks of raw gasoline. And when you send it off for fuel testing, the oil will still be good, but it'll show you a fuel dilution of over like 2 or something like that already at like 5,000 miles. And it's not by any means good to keep running that oil with that much dilution because all you're going to continue to do is break down that ad pack, and then eventually what used to be a supporting agent inside that oil to help the oil do its job and continue to lubricate and keep everything clean is not going to be there anymore. It's breaking down. It's not meant to have gasoline in it to thin everything out, and then you're constantly running that, diluting the oil more and more. And you can put the best oil in that vehicle possible, and you're still not going to be able to stop that fuel dilution from happening because of the characteristic of the engine.
hey, I ordered my stock for the shop, right, of my AMS oil, and
Hmm.
I was like, wow, they changed the bottles of the XL series. That's pretty cool. And then I got to looking at it. I was like, wow, they upped the mileage on it too. And then my magazine came in the mail, and I was reading about it. They put more ad pack in it. So I want to send some of that off and get it tested to see
Yeah.
how much of what they put in there.
I know to keep changing my oil based on this model. What would y'all do then at the next 40,000 miles to keep it this reliable?
Transmission flush, well, transmission fluid, uh, PTU differential, coolant flush, brake flush. I mean, you should do the brake flush before then. Um, Basically, all your fluids. Um, Fuel system service. You got to clean that intake.
Can we talk about the GMC AT4? I don't know nothing about it. I just know a lot of them new GMCs, they are ugly as sin to me, and
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't drive one. Any of the new ones with the weird looking tailgates and the weird looking front bumpers and stuff, they are ugly. Now, the new Sierras, I do like them. The fact that the GMC Sierra, they kept their square wheel liners and stuff, and they kept that squared out front end look. Now that is pretty sexy. I do like the way that looks. But all that other Silverado stuff and all these new packages that look all weird on them, I want. They just look goofy.
Ooh, broken spark plug in the engine. Top of the plug has nothing to grip on a Ford Escape EcoBoost 4-cylinder 1.5. How did you break that plug?
So what ends up happening is I've done that. Um, I had one where I was pulling everything apart, and the customer asked me to go through and do the campaign because they had read up on the line about the coolant intrusion, and they were indeed losing coolant. So I had to move to cylinder three because cylinder two or something like that. I have a video on it. I talked about what happened right after it happened. And I went to go try to nice and easy pull that plug out, just working it back and forth because
It got like a turn and a half, maybe two turns, and it was done. It was like it ain't coming out. And I
Ooh.
was like, "Oh God, come on, don't do this again, man." And I've had some of these with real bad coolant intrusion do this, and I knew right away. Well, at this point, Mister Customer, are you okay with leaving your vehicle here? Because it looks like we're going to end up putting an engine in this, and this plug broke off. It just will not come out. I can't get it with power tools. I ran it back in all the way until it got nice and just right before it seated. Then I pulled it out with the impact and snapped. And I said, no matter what, I couldn't get this thing out of here. So I had to be prepared for this. What I ended up having to do is actually order a new cylinder head for that 1.5 short block that I was doing because it is an acceptable application whenever you get to a position like that. And then I had to order like 8 different bucket sizes and do the valve lash for the intake and exhaust for every single um, valve camshaft on off while I'm tracking on a piece of paper each valve and what they should be adjusted at, and then I built everything back, put all the buckets in accordingly, and that was the quietest 1.5 that I have heard. And I did it on the tighter side instead of the looser side from the factory, and it just was so smooth. And I said, man, this thing sounds like they should sound coming from the factory, and it'll last longer because it'll have more room to wear. And they don't do them like this. And I had the same thing happen. Could not save the head. I've had it happen to a couple of them though.
I haven't broken one yet, so I can't speak on that. Somebody said I got a Ford F-150 2017 2.7. When it hits 2000 RPMs, my RPMs go up and down.
Yeah. Was I talking to you already about this, Ulysses? I think he was saying something. Somebody was saying something about this to where I have a F-150 when it hits 2,000. Is it cruising steady at 2,000 RPM? Because in an F-150, cruising steady at 2,000 RPM would be like 70 mile an hour or something like that, wouldn't it? And are you talking about it just fluttering? RPMs are fluttering? No, snapping is the problem as well. I mean, I get what you're saying. Whatever your name, I don't know how to say your name. Is that Fael? I don't know if that's how you say your name or not. But no, snapping is a problem as well. Because a lot of times when you go to get that thing out of there, when you use an extraction tool, you end up pulling the threads out of it anyway. So the whole purpose behind me saying that was as a DIY guy or an independent guy, and you don't have a lot of experience with this, or you don't have any means of getting it to a machine shop or something like that to let them laser it out or something, you're screwed. You're buying a cylinder head.
Richard 2013 F-150 3.5 75,000 miles. Yes, change the fluid and the filter on the transmission. Is there a service procedure for cleaning the intake on a 2019 Edge 2.7?
I mean, you can try until you're blue in the face to think you're cleaning the intake and all the chemicals you want to run through there. They'll clean a little bit, but they're not going to clean very much running through the intake manifold. I can tell you that. If you're talking about cleaning the valves, that's one thing. But on a 19 Edge 2.7, it's it's so here's a conversation that eventually I'd like for all of us to have. You're running a boosted vehicle. You know they're susceptible for buildup on the valves and stuff like that. I don't know if this one is the dual injection on this one or not. On this 19 Edge, I haven't looked at it. It's been a while. I don't think the 19 had it. I don't think it was until 2020 or something like that, right?
Yeah, I think it was 2020 or 2021 where I had dual injection.
But let's
19 was just direct, I think.
you're not going to clean the intake on that, to be honest with you. You can run some cleaner through it and you might make it a little bit cleaner, but you're not actually going to clean the intake on that. It's just not going to work like you think it is. And like people tell you, and the reason I say that is these engines are so dirty. These turbocharged EcoBoost engines, there's a lot of stuff getting pulled back into the intake manifold constantly. And the 2.7 is a really, really, really good engine. It's very stout. It's very strong, and it'll just keep running and running and running as long as you keep good fuel and stuff in it. And if I was you, with how many miles you got on this thing, you ever think about running a catch can on it?
He's using a JLT catch can.
I mean, you might be all right just running good fuel and not and just taking care of the thing.
So somebody said I'm having issues with long cranking starting on my 20 F-150 What do you think it is the issue? I clean the ground wires, feels better, but starting is still sporadic with 15K.
Issues with long cranking styles. What do you think?
I had one where it was like it would like stall out at a light or something like that, and then it would hesitate to start back up. So, and the 5.0 is pretty bad for those.
So I found a low
17
mileage.
F1. Yeah, I was reading the same one.
They don't leak very often if first of all use the thing. Don't be afraid to open and close it and use it. That's what it's there for. It's the people that don't ever use anything that end up having a problem. And then every once in a while, go get yourself some, I don't know, weed eater string or something like that, and identify your drains in the corner of your F-150 and run you some weed eater string down there. Rot it like you're shoving one of those snakes down your toilet to get your, wadded up toilet paper and stuff out of there that people like to throw in by the handful. Just take that weed eater string and I run it down the drains and every once in a while and it keeps them clean. I mean, I wouldn't buy one with a sunroof anyway, but if you got a good deal on one, especially a 17, being the last year for that engine, buy it. And Ulysses says it is when he hits about 70 miles per hour. So the flutter that you're feeling, I don't know. I mean, like somebody did bring up the mass airflow sensor.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it needs to be cleaned or something like that. And it's causing some issues with how it's monitoring the density of the airflow. And I maybe you got to maybe there's a certain spot in there somewhere where on the throttle body that it doesn't like because you're always at 70 mile an hour and it's wearing out that spot on the potentiometer.
Uh,
Uh,
90, 99 Silverado 4.8, almost 200K. Engine knocks only in the morning. Cold start for about 30 seconds. I used to have a 99, and then I had a 2004. Both had the same engine. That is actually normal for the GM. It's actually cylinder one piston slap. As it heats up and things expand, the noise goes away. There's nothing that they can do about it. 60,000 mile FX4 for 32K, serviced every 5,000 miles.
that's a good price.
Yeah, it is.
What year though? AR. Oh, it says 17. Yeah, that's a good price.
Yeah, that's a really good price.
Because they're those are normally closer to 40, 42, 44. That's good. And if you could, hey, I'm not saying be greedy, but if you can get it down a little lower, you got a home run. So somebody else said something here about a 16 Fusion 1.5, and I have the DTC C1D00. It seems that some wire is grounding. Do you think that changing the emergency brake switch will solve it? What does the code
C1
mean?
C1D00.
Something to do with the brakes, ABS, or parking brake, or see it, Joseph. Vanderpool, 99 Ford F-150, first key on, no wait to start light. Turn key off and back on, and the wait to start light illuminates. If I connect, I have no communication when this happens. Do I have a faulty connection? You mean you're trying to plug a diagnostic reader in whenever you first turn the key on and there's no wait to start light, it won't let you communicate?
Is it the 7.3 or the 6.0? Or is it a gas engine? 6.0, 6.4? I think Aaron had a video on one of these. Right at the top where the fuel filter is on top, there's actually like a ring inside there that's usually broken. Go check out Aaron, Power Stroke Tech Talk. You guys probably obviously know him. He did a video on this exact symptom.
Yeah, he's saying that your auto ingenuity 7.3 is what he has.
Yep. Uh, go check out Aaron's video on that. It was actually really, really informative. He went through it and pulled that out, and you can actually see the ring that was broken inside there. So 2018 Transit 250. When AC is on, I find water dripping on passenger mat. Can't find anything on internet to solve it.
First of all, you got to find a drain out on the firewall and make sure it's not plugged up. Second of all, you're gonna have to get a light, and you're gonna have to get up underneath there and shine the light at the bottom of the box while it's dripping, and try to identify where it's coming from. Because I had this happen, and the passengers would was his little son every once in a while would kick the bottom of the dash and put a crack in the evap box. So as the condensation would drain down towards the bottom of the box where it was supposed to be draining, it wasn't going all the way down to where it was supposed to. It was dripping out of that crack. And it was getting out to the floor.
So I'm gonna go back to that. Where did it go? Um, 18 Transit. It says can't find anything on the internet. You just found it.
2010 V6 Explorer 4x4 light on dash won't come on, but I have 4x4. You mean the light doesn't illuminate, but you do get 4x4? Is that what you're saying?
2019 Raptor oil change interval every 2,500 miles. Transfer case axle fluids every 25,000 miles. 32K miles on the truck now. You can push that oil change out a little further. Another 500
Yeah.
miles. Or actually, you can probably go another 500 to 2,000 miles on that. 3,000
If you're idling that thing a lot because it's a work vehicle, then
at 3.
obviously at three would be the way to go. But if it's moving, you could push it
5.
out more. Yeah, 5. 2010 V6 Explorer, 4x4 light on. Dash won't come on, but have 4-wheel drive. Maybe the module or the 4x4 motor. If it's going
No,
into 4, huh?
Tim, I hear the crickets. They said the guy outside is missing out on the cricket symphony, and I feel bad for him because his headphones are blocking it. No, I hear him. There's actually one right here in front of me.
4 by okay, so back the 4x4 thing. Well, if it's going into 4x4, I don't know that it would be a motor issue. You said maybe the module. I don't think it would be the You might have the actual part of the switch might be actually burned out. It doesn't mean that it doesn't have to work completely. 4x4 light on dash won't come on. Maybe the light is burned out, or hmm, I'd have to look at that circuit, tech girl. I'd have to like actually pull up the circuit and look and see how when you switch it to 4-wheel drive, how does it turn the light over on the cluster on? What sends that signal over there? I mean, you might be right. There may be some circuit that goes through that now that I'm thinking about it that gets completed whenever you turn the switch on and it lets the cluster know to illuminate or something.
Hey,
I'm
Rich,
not sure.
y'all gonna stare at my ceiling for a second. How about that?
Okay. What is this? He said, um, raced a coworker's Denali today with my 19 Raptor Super Cab. I'm tuned and bolt-ons hurt his feelings pretty bad. I mean, they're not to be honest with you. Even my 15, just regular 5-liter Coyote, when I pull up next to these guys with these 6.0s and 6.2s and stuff like that, they're not that quick off the line. Mine just hits way harder off the line, and even if they are faster than me, I'm already off the line and gone by the time they do anything. So it's not really fair, I guess, but it's just a different. We have two different setups, and I'm not a huge fan. I love any of the Chevy stuff that's been worked up already, where people's put some time and effort into really tuning it in. Man, this I can't get over how I felt the other day when I went out in that dude's 6.0. It's punched 20 over with a rotating assembly and stuff, and long tube headers, and cammed and tuned, and race pump and injectors, and the new racing torque converter and stuff that they just built. This performance, this company here, it's on my shirt, high performance transmission specialist out of Schaumburg, Illinois. They sent me a shirt for supporting them, and I actually reached out to Brandon from Performance Transmission on TikTok. He's like the largest social media transmission guy I've ever seen on any social media account. And he actually commented on the video and said, "I love those guys, man. They do good work." And the car is just so alive right now. The way they have it set up with everything is just really nice. But I also ordered mine. My torque converters. I ordered a performance torque converter for the Grand Marquis, and that's getting put in here in the next couple of weeks whenever it shows up.
Hey, Trouble's in here. Hey, Trouble.
What's up, Trouble? Vanderpool, though, the whole
Oh,
Vanderpool thing is going to really drive me nuts. We might have to talk to Aaron like off of here to figure out like what his whole deal is with why when he turns the key on that wait the start light doesn't pop on. He's got to cycle it back off and turn it on again, and then he has no communication in the beginning when that's happening.
okay. Yeah. Um, we can probably reach out to him tomorrow or something. It's kind of
What?
funny. Uh, I was doing a compressor and a condenser and expansion valve on a 2018 F450, and the condenser and expansion valve was already done. I was about to do the compressor, and I was like, man, I need to see what Aaron's up to. So I video chatted him right quick, and he answers it, and the phone's in his roll cart. And I'm like, dude, are you okay? And he's bent over this transit. He's like, no, dude, I'm not okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what's going on? He's like, I hate transits. He was taking the EGR cooler off of it. I was like, I'll trade you. He's like, now I'll trade you right now. He did not want to do that car at all.
Yeah.
He was miserable. He was mad, dude.
What weight oil would you run in a 2018 GMC Sierra? I don't know what the manufacturer recommends. I I
Zero
honestly
twenty.
I've been running 5W30 in everything, even if it calls for zero something or whatever it is, and I have not had any problems. And I'm literally telling you, a lot of people that have come into my shop that run 020, 030, or whatever it is, I've been running 5W30 in everything, and not a single issue. In my vehicle's the same thing. Any of the stuff that calls for 520 all gets 530. Everything across the board is all 530.
I run 530 in mine.
Yeah.
Running calls for 530 though. I run 540 in the fleet because they're severe duty.
What is your message? 2009 to 11 Ford Ranger XLT 4.0 with automatic trans. How do they hold up with regular trans service? Thinking of selling my '03 Lincoln Town Car Cartier for it, and I'm hesitant because of the trans on the Rangers. Yeah, I've had some come in, but it wasn't the 4.0, it was the 3.0, and it had some shift solenoid codes from time to time. And I went up and I talked to the trans guy. He's a world master, Ford master, something like that, whatever. And he was like, every time we see those shift solenoid, like the pressure codes or the codes for the shift solenoids, and we pull the transmission apart, we find the bands that grab each section are starting to crack and they're starting to separate and they're not completely together. So he said, I love the Rangers. I think they're awesome. But because of that specific trans issue that they have, I just never really got into them like that because I don't want to be pulling apart my own trans to rebuild it. I want to get paid to do a customer's. So I don't know. I'm partial to the town cars, and if you got a Cartier or Cartier, I don't know what you call it, a Cartier. I wouldn't get rid of it. I wouldn't get rid of that for a Ranger.
Rangers are popular, but no, don't get rid of that.
Hey, Rich, waiting to hear about the test drive with the new sway bar. I took it out a little bit today because, all right, I let the cat out of the bag a little bit for you guys. You know the company ProLube that's kind of been blowing up on social media, like TikTok and stuff like that, and they go to their little bearing machine and they put some oil in there, and then they put like a 8 pound load on the end of the shaft, and it starts squealing, and they got the little readout for the stress or how much tension it's taking to turn it over, and
Shear
they'll
test?
pull it. Yeah, it's a bearing shear. No, I don't know if is it a shear test? I don't know what it is. It's a bearing turned
That's
sideways and
yeah,
whatever it
where
is.
it shows the wear mark, like how they measure the
Yeah,
wear mark. Yeah,
yeah. But they got a little cup underneath it, and they put like a 7 or 8 pound weight, like stones or something, on the end of it with holes drilled in it, and
farm does
they
that.
um they were dumping different oils in there, and they would all start squealing right away. And then they got the Marvel Mystery Oil, and you guys know I'm a Marvel Mystery Oil fiend. I love Marvel Mystery Oil, and they poured some of that in there, and it's squealing like crazy. And they took some of their Pro Lube and they just put just a little bit in the cup, just a soup, and all of a sudden it quit. So their whole thing was, this is our lube versus their lube, and even when we take our lube and put it with their lube, it makes it even better. So I get the premise behind the oil and stuff like that. And I said, well, first of all, I had messaged them just like everybody else in the comment section did. And I said, well, first of all, Marvel Mystery Oil is not a oil like that you just dump in something and it lubricates like that. It helps oil lubricate better. It is not to be used on its own. It's not to be poured in a cup or whatever. It's meant to be run with a product in an engine to do a certain type of service, and how you're using it is not necessarily how it was intended to be used. But I'd love to get my hands on some of your products so I could actually test your product. And people were tagging me in the video, and hey, Ford boss, they're talking about your Marvel. They're talking about your Marvel and stuff like that. And I said, well, I actually have the new Marvel synthetic that you don't have. You haven't tested yet. So how about we do a trade? You send me a small can of your Pro Lube, and I'll send you a thing of the Marvel Mystery Oil synthetic that I had before anybody got it. I had it first, and I'll right out of my special box here with my stamping and everything, I'll send you a bottle of my own personal stock. And they said, all right. At first, they were like, we don't really work with people outside of our sponsored race team and stuff like that. It's just not something we do at the moment. And then I guess they were going through a transition phase where they were moving from one building to another. They're kind of moving the company around, and they got a hold of me and they said, hey, look, now we're in a better position to communicate and talk and deal with, social media follower creators and stuff like that. We'd love to send you a can of our Pro Lube if you send us, well, let's do the deal that you were talking about. You send us the synthetic oil from your stock, and we'll send you one of our Pro Lube cans. And sure enough, it come in about a couple weeks ago, and I got it now. And people have been bugging me like crazy to try it. They want to see it. They want to see it, man. And it's like, I got it. I got it. Relax. It's here. I didn't want to say nothing yet, but I have it. Yeah, I'm gonna try it.
Hey, somebody asked me the other day, kind of off subject, but the Amsoil. What did I send you? The metal protector? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody asked me how much area will one can cover? I was like, go watch Rich's Ford Boss Me's video. He did like 3/4 of his truck with one can.
Yeah.
So
I
it'll
shouldn't.
that one can will go a long
I
way.
shouldn't have pushed it to the limit like that. I should have been more concentrated in areas. But now that I know and I've seen how far it will go, the next time that truck gets coated, I'm going to compare that with a full, probably 4 or 5 can heavy undercoat versus the fluid film that's under there now. And that fluid film, my God, man, you touch the bottom of that truck and it just gets all over the place. It's just like damn
Sticky
anti-seize, man. You touch the anti-seize, and then next thing you know, it's in your damn nose hairs and everything else.
everywhere.
And it's the same thing with that fluid film. I went to go touch the airbags, and here's another thing too. Some of y'all may I need to put this out on a video. Trying out these products and stuff, and seeing how all these products work. I put the airbags on the back of the truck to get it set up right. So when I go to pull the truck out of the shop, I'm like, man, that's kind of a rough ride. Every little bump I'm feeling now, and I don't even have any air in the bags. And then I got to thinking about it. Well, There's dead space in the bag though. So as you hit bumps and you got the valves in the Schrader ports, those bags can't really compress too well. I mean, they'll compress, but they push against themselves, which will hold a little resistance to the body of the truck. So you're going to get a little more of a firmer ride unless you put it into a vacuum. So I pulled the valves out of it and I went for a drive. And I said, man, that does feel a little bit better. But something's still not right here. It's a very firm ride. And I couldn't figure out exactly what was going on. You take your clamping point along your axle and it's clamped down to your U-bolts, right? So let's just say your axle is your clamp is here and your clamp is here. And your axle runs through the center of it. And then your leaf spring starts to open up and gradually come up to its anchor point on both sides, right? Well, that clamping force is concentrated right in the middle of that. Well, now you take an airbag platform and you move that clamping force. Now it's not just in the center anymore. It's clamped out here all the way on the outside as well. You took that spot that was tension and moved it further out 3 or 4 inches on each side. And now you've tightened up your leaf that used to be more forgiving and taken away a lot of that forgiveness by putting an extra clamp on each side. And now you've taken some of that comfort away from the ride of that truck just by putting a clamp on the leaf spring. It's almost created like a helper spring effect being in contact all the time. So I tested the theory out and I loosened up both of the U bolts on both sides and I left them dangle and went for a drive. And I got all my comfort for my ride back. And I said, I'd be a son of a gun. You can't even put airbags
Shit.
on one of these trucks and not retain the same comfort because of how you space your load out on your leaf springs when you clamp everything back down. So
So is it moving it more toward the center? What am I trying to say? Not the center of gravity, but well, I guess that's what I guess you could say.
it's taking the load from being directly over the axle and having so much forgiveness or space between the springs so they can gradually bounce back and forth and tightening up those leaf springs where they're kind of open and more forgiving as they come out and go up to their anchor spot, their
Hmm.
hanger, and you're taking that open gap that's slightly there and you're collapsing it and tightening it down on itself and you're tensioning the leaf spring up more. You're creating more tension in that area. So
Gotcha.
now
Okay.
every single bump is a boom, 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 boom. Because you put an extra set of clamps on the outside, it stiffened up the actual the comfort.
It's good. Like on the F-150, I had one where customer stated, I hear a rattle or whatever. Doesn't matter how fast I'm going or if I'm turning, but the leaf spring where they move and you have the
Yeah,
pad and everything like that. Okay.
yeah,
So one of the other technicians that did, when he was an hourly guy, he was just helping us out. He put everything together, and the shackle at the back of the truck, right? You leave all that loose and you lower the truck down, let everything settle, and then you tighten that back down. Well, he had it up in the air, put the springs in, and then tighten that down. Set the truck down, and the truck was sitting like this.
yeah.
It was like, dude, raise it back up, loosen it up, set it down, let it settle, then tighten it down. It was just when you said springs, that's what it reminded me of. I'll never forget that. He was an hourly guy. He was there to help us. He was learning. So, like, it's things like that. Like, I get a kick out of that.
What is oh 08 G35X all-wheel drive? People pull a fuse to make it rear-wheel drive and turn the front diff off. Car is 100% rear-wheel drive until it's traction lost. Hey, I never heard of that, but thanks for educating me.
Yeah.
I have an Infinity Guru at the shop. He's got like the first gen G37S when it first came out. He's got one with only like 82,000 miles on it. So I'll ask him about that in the morning. Hmm. Eddie was talking to the guy who brought in the Chevy Express, and he said Ford suck. Jay, that guy, he's just like us. He likes to talk trash, so he knows it's going to get under people's skin and it's going to get back to him. Probably knew it was going to get back to me, so that's okay. He can say that, but he don't mean that though. He's just a trash talker, just like we are. So it is what it is. I don't really. Hey, he might think Ford suck. That's okay for him to say that. That's his freedom of speech. There's no repercussion there. People can say whatever they want. Just like I don't like Toyotas, and I tell people that very openly. And it's not that I have a problem with Toyotas. I just don't care for a lot of Toyota owners with their snobby nose up in the air and making it seem like, they never have any problems when I know damn well they do. Um, 11.35 EcoBoost is the brake booster rod supposed to touch the master cylinder bore and when bolting it on the booster. Yes, it is. But I think we've already went through this. Did we not, Sammy? You're the same person that asked us before, I thought. Yes, the rod is supposed to touch it. You're supposed to put the master cylinder on and the rod's right in the center of it, and you will start to feel it touch the back of the bore as you go push it on, and you'll push it on and almost feel like a little spring there for a second. And then you finish bolting it down. That's normal. You're trading your 67 Ford GT40 or a Tesla S.
For a Tesla.
What's wrong with you? All right, gents, ladies, nap time here for real. Y'all have a wonderful night. Best rest of the week. You too. Thank you, Sports Monkey, for showing up. Put half a gallon of mystery oil in the gas tank of my Fusion last week. Why'd you put half a gallon? It's supposed to be 4 ounces per every 10 gallons.
Here's a good one.
You're
Water
breaking up. You're
pumps
breaking up real bad.
claiming it, but it's clearly not. Any known problems that it could be.
I don't know. It's like
Can
your
you hear me now?
internet's cutting out.
You hear me? All right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you, but you're breaking up as you're talking a little bit.
What about now?
I think so.
I think so.
I think I can hear you. I mean, I don't. You got to start talking.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I turned my Wi-Fi off. Uh, this person says they have a F-150, been leaking antifreeze. Dealer has replaced 2 water pumps, claiming it was the problem, but it's clearly not. Any known problems that it could be. What year F-150? I actually have a video on common coolant leaks for the F-150. I need to know what year the F-150 is.
08 F-150 46 has a cold tick for 5 seconds. Only when it sets for 2 or more days. Heard it's a timing chain tension or dropping pressure due to the seal on one of them should be concerned. Well, normally it's the seal furthest away, which would be the passenger side seal that blows out. But every one of them that I've taken apart, both the seals have been blown out. And when you go back together with it, you can use the 4.62 valve cast iron tensioners instead of the gasketed 5.4 2 valve or 3 valve tensioners. From what I understand, the 4.62 valve tensioners will work. I do some research on that, but after my last one of the guys came up to me that was a transmission guy, and he said we just put the 4.62 valve cast iron ones on ours, and we never had a problem leaking. Again, they bolt right in. It's a performance mod for the 5.4 that they do.
It's a 2017 F-150. Sorry to cut you off.
For what?
For the coolant leak.
Oh, I got to look at that. Saw this guy Clifton up here, and if you let your vehicle sit for a few days and you get a tick for about 5 seconds on startup, you got an '08, man. With an old 4.6 that none of those systems were really all that great to begin with. Be thankful it's only for 5 seconds and it goes away. And if you don't want that tick to happen, put the vehicle in clear flood mode first, crank it over for a few seconds, and then more than likely the tick won't happen. That's all. If you don't know what clear flood mode is, I'm sure we both have videos on it. I know I do for sure. I got several videos on it.
I do too.
What'd you say it was 17?
17 F-150. It's got some coolant leak. They changed the water pump twice, claiming that was the problem. 17's Gen 2.
Where's I'm trying to even read that comment. Oh, here. F-150 been leaking antifreeze. Dealer has replaced 2 water pumps, claiming it was the problem, but it's clearly not. And he,
Where do you see the antifreeze at? Which side of the engine? Is it the front, passenger side, driver side? Is the heater core leaking? You have antifreeze inside the vehicle. What's my channel? Bearded Ford Tech. Aaron just texted me. They're leaving the concert now.
Fram, it's where it's at. Yanni, are you trying to get under my skin there, Yanni? Everybody thinks that everybody thinks I'm going to be some defender of Fram. Y'all can think whatever you want about Fram. At the end of the day, I'm going to tell you what's up, whether you like it or not. 99.9% of the time, when filters and stuff or maintenance fails, it has nothing to do with the product that's being used, and it has everything to do with the people using the product and not servicing it appropriately.
Thank you. Thank you. You know how many
Yeah,
times I've stressed that?
they say,
I haven't.
"Well, look at all those 4, 6, 5, 4, whatever this and that cop car and F-150s in the junkyard that's got the orange can on it." I've
Well,
seen just
the
as,
well, they didn't tell you that it hasn't had the oil change in 50,000 miles either.
or
So
that's not the reason why it's there to begin with. It's there because the damn sub or the frame rotted out on it, or the body fell apart, or the transmission bell housing finally oxidized and snapped in two, or something. It had nothing to do with the engine. Pull the damn
like
engine out of it, still run.
I'm telling you guys, man, maintenance is key. Maintenance. If the least thing that you do, change your oil. Okay, I got fleet vehicles with almost 500,000 miles on them, and they run like they're brand new. Like,
Yeah.
change your oil. That's something you can do at home. Like,
You know what?
I don't.
The construction company just brought me yesterday, and when I was looking at it tonight when I was leaving, he said, "Take your time with it. We've been using you guys for quite a while. Before you guys became the owner, we were using the old one, so we hope we keep the same service, if not better." And I said, "What are you dropping off for me?" He said, "Oh, it's an old Super Duty." And I said, "Oh, it's an old Super Duty. What are we talking about? Old Super Duty?" He said, "It's like a 2008 Super Duty." And I said, "Oh, ain't nothing. I got it.
6-0,
I got that."
6-0.
No, it's not a 2008 either. It's like a 2000. Maybe it was like a 2004 or something like that. But it was a 2000. It's a 543 valve.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, when it got there, it running real rough, and it had a P0353 code. And I said, "I'll take care of that in the morning when I get here. I'll grab one of the helpers in the shop, and I'll go out there and pull cylinder 3 or something and check the ignition coil, make sure it's good, swap it to another cylinder, start it up, see if it travels. If it travels, ignition coil. And if it doesn't travel, then it'd be a spark plug or something like that. And I'll check it out real good, but clean, man. 116,000 miles on it. They take real good care of this thing. Sounds real good. No leaks, front cover not leaking, oil pan not leaking. I said, "Damn, man, I ain't seen one like this where they actually give a crap about it."
Uh, Brown boot or black boot coil? Or do you know?
Well,
Oh, you have
it's gonna be the older one, so it's gonna be brown boot.
brown boot. Yeah.
What's this guy say? Best oil for a 6.0 Power Stroke. I don't know. Take your flavor, your pick. Anthony's gonna say AMSOIL. You know that he's an AMSOIL fanatic.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna say I am an AMSOIL dealer. I am an AMSOIL fanatic, but I'm gonna say it depends on where you live and how you drive.
I like a bunch of different variations of oils. So this guy underneath you says Rotella. Rotella is the most popular because it's out there and it's readily available on pretty much every shelf. So that's why guys get hooked on Rotella. I don't think Rotella is really that much better than other oils out there based on my findings and doing the research and testing everything.
Before you
There's a
say
lot of
something,
oils that have really good numbers and they're very, very good quality. It just all depends on how you want it available.
before you say anything,
What?
before you name an oil,
I
okay?
didn't
You know
name
what?
anything. I wasn't
Before you
going
do,
to.
okay. So obviously, my whole fleet runs AMS oil. I love AMS
Uh-huh.
oil. It's a really good oil. Works great for me. Doesn't mean it's going to work great for you. Like I said, it depends on where you live and how you drive. But when I'm out of stock on AMS oil and I'm waiting for my stock order to come in, I run Pennzoil Ultra Platinum.
Mm,
So,
yeah, but
or I'll use,
you ain't gonna
if I
find
don't,
ultra platinum for that though.
yeah, if I don't have Ultra Platinum, I will run Valvoline Advanced. So, those are my top three.
Weirdo.
Huh? You call me a weirdo?
Not you. Not
Oh,
you. The better half standing here staring at me through the door
Miss
while
Sarah,
I'm
is that Miss
talking to you.
is that Miss Sarah? Tell her I said hi. Tell Miss Ford Boss I said hi.
Hello.
She said, "I."
Looks cool. I'm a
Awesome. It's a magnet.
It's a magnet.
do what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I took it out of the envelope. I was like, dude, that's
Yeah.
really cool. Back in the envelope.
It's a
Like
magnet.
now, now I'm gonna hang
Nice
it.
one, Rita.
Now that I know it's a magnet.
Um,
What's that about?
Hey, Rich, you
what-
coming down here anytime soon? Because we got to go check out Lake Speed's shop,
I
man.
want to. I want to. It's honestly, does name brand really matter for a commuter car? I'll be straight with you. If you're not buying the bottom of the barrel oil, and even if you are, it doesn't really matter. If you're changing the oil every 3,000 miles, you can buy the cheapest filter on the shelf and find the cheapest oil at the store, and it's going to be completely fine. But if you're wanting something that's going to last long term, and you've got a special vehicle or it means something to you or whatever, and it's not just something that you're just trying to find the cheapest stuff to keep it going, I mean, it matters to me. I'm not. I, I don't want to find the cheapest STP oil on the market, the cheapest STP filter, and put it in there and say, I changed my oil for $17. I changed my, but there are people out there that they'll go to Walmart and they'll find like Havoline Pro, what is it, Pro DS or something like that. And the stuff's got like 300 or 400 parts per million moly in it. It's got great magnesium and calcium, and they can get a whole jug of this stuff for 17, 18, 19, $20. And it's just not 4 quarts. This is a jug. I don't know if it's like 8 quarts, but it's a big old box of this stuff. And they end up paying, 20 some dollars for it, getting multiple oil changes out of it. It's a really good quality oil on the cheaper scale. And they just put a Super Tech $4 filter in it and run it 3 or 4 thousand miles. Hell, you could run that stuff until you die. You'll never have to use a different oil than that because it's not like a top of the line, the best stuff out there, the best engineered stuff out there, but it does work and it's got a great ad pack and it will do what you need it to do. It's just not good enough for me. I like that
There's
bougie shit.
there's two myths we got to bust here. Okay, first one says think that the oil, in addition to standards, has to adjust to the temperature of the climate. Valvoline is not good in the summer. Never had a problem with Valvoline, and trust me, I run a fleet of 188 vehicles. When I'm low on the oil that I normally use, I'll run Pennzoil Ultra Platinum or the Valvoline Advanced. Sometimes I will run the Motorcraft back inside of it as well. The second one, will synthetic oil make my truck leak more? No.
A lot of people think that running synthetic oil, like they follow the Scotty Kilmers or something of the industry that put out this bad information per se. And I think there was even one time where he kind of cleared it up and then went right back to
He
saying the
went right back.
same
Yeah.
regurgitated crap of all synthetic oil will make your vehicle leak. If you're
No, it
putting
doesn't.
synthetic if you're putting synthetic oil in your vehicle and it starts leaking, it's because it's a better, more symmetrical molecule
The
and
polymers. Yeah.
it's able to get in areas that regular conventional oil and stuff maybe doesn't or semi synthetic or whatever it is, and it might show itself. You're right, it might show itself, but it's because you already had a problem there. It's not causing your vehicle to leak. You just got shit in an area that's stopping something from leaking that
It's
may
not the
a
oil.
little. It's not the oil. The oil can't make something leak by definition itself. It's there to lubricate. So a lot of people, oh, the oil back in the '80s or something when Mobil had their pure PAO synthetic, they had to actually dumb down the formula. If you look at the history of Mobil, back in the day, they had the best oil you could buy on the market there for a long time, but they had to change their formula because a lot of these engines that were designed to run conventional oils were actually starting to leak. And it wasn't that there was anything wrong with the oil or the engine. It was just it was a engine that was designed to be run a specific way, and then now you're running this pure, really beautiful oil in this not so tight engine, and what there was nothing wrong with the fact that it was leaking. It was just a very slick, very symmetrical, very tight polymer oil. It ended up escaping past seals and stuff like that, and getting outside of where it was supposed to be, because the engine wasn't really designed to run with that. Well, now over time, we've made better seals and better conditioners and better this and better plastics. Well, these things last longer now. So if something starts leaking because you put synthetic oil in it, it's not the synthetic's fault. It's the fact that you have something wore out on your vehicle. So we need to change like the way we think about stuff, and blaming and pointing fingers and stuff. That was the synthetic oil. No, it was your vehicle. Something's wore out somewhere, and that's just the facts.
Hey, Rich. There's there's Kitty. Oh shit! Come here, dude. Come here. Where you going? Oh, I'm gonna go hide in there.
I got to get my hands on some Mag 1.
Also, going from conventional or synthetic blend to synthetic will not cause sludge.
It won't cause sludge. It won't hurt the engine. It won't do none of that crap. These people, a lot of these guys that are like in their 60s and 70s still, that have figured out social media stuff, sometimes they're the biggest pain in my ass, to be honest with you.
You
Because
too?
some of them, some of them are awesome, man. They're like, I'm here to learn. I don't know everything, and if you want to learn anything from me, I'm here to learn or I'm here to teach you as well if you want to know anything. And I said, man, if I love that. I love the fact that I can talk to you and learn from you, and that you're open to learning from me, because we come from two generations. You came from a generation where you had to lap valves, and you had certain valve seats that we don't have in cylinder heads and stuff today that you had to have back in the day.
Yep.
You can't tell me that you know about what's going on in today's vehicles when you haven't touched one in the last 30 years, but you did it for 35, 40 years before. So let's learn off each other. Let's be brothers in the aspect that we want to learn a little bit about each other's lives. If I need you, you need me, I'm there for it. And then they try to tell you, oh man, that damn thing don't work that way. What are you talking about, man? Ain't never, this guy's so dang full of crap. And I'm like, man, come on, old timer. Don't make me block you from the channel. I'm trying to be friends with you, man. I'm not trying to block you. I'm trying to work with you here and be your friend, and you're being stubborn just for no damn reason. And they don't even understand. I'll start talking about stuff, and I'm like, on startup, when you have desired timing, and a phaser and a computer system is trying to control this, let's look at like a specific type of Nissan or something like that, where timing is desired at 0 degrees, and you're 1 or 2 degrees outside of that. That's normal, but 3 or 4 plus, they say you start having a problem, and you need to start looking for pin shearing or something like that on the phasers, not being in their locked time position. And I try to talk to them about that stuff, and they're like, "Man, that's not even how a damn camshaft works or whatever." I said, "When's the last time you worked on one of these? When's the last time you timed one? When's the last time you did anything with a phaser on one? When's the last time you've been in uh, a Genesis 3.8 engine from Hyundai or so?" Oh, you never have. You never been a part of any of that. So how do you have input on any of that stuff? It boggles my mind, the fact that they want to fight you and argue with you, and they regurgitate this myth about you can't put damn Pennzoil in your engine because it's still sludging up the engine today. It looks like wax clay when you go to change the oil the next time. I'm like, dude, where have you been the last 40 years? It's not Castrol and Pennzoil are some of the best oils on the market to this day. I mean, but maybe back then you might have had an issue, but it's not even the same process anymore. that oils aren't even the same at all anymore. I mean, oil is still oil. Don't get me wrong, but it's been so refined and hydrocracked that now they're saying Group Three oils are just as good as certain PAOs because of how cleaned up and refined and stuff everything is, and hydrocracked this and that, and it amazes me that people still have this mindset that they did 40 years ago, and they still don't want to learn nothing new today.
As somebody said, how many people do you block? We block quite a few, actually.
I try not to block people. I give them the benefit of the doubt. I'll let them talk trash a little bit as long as they're not personally attacking me. Once they personally start attacking me, I say what I got to say, and then they're gone. And I
Yeah,
get the last.
when they start personally attacking you or the family or your children, that's
Yeah.
it. We
Now,
don't have time for that.
if they're just like, oh, that's some dumb stuff, or you didn't explain that right, or something, whatever. Okay, I don't care. Think you can think and do what you want, because you're going to watch me win. I want you to watch me win, even if you hate me or
And
whatever. I want you.
that goes to pin comments. Usually, when we pin a comment, it has the answer in it already. Maybe something we didn't cover in the video, or somebody else brought it to our attention, and we pin that comment. That's going to be the first comment that you see. And for some reason, people still don't see that. I don't, I don't
Yeah.
get it. What's the difference between automatic transmission fluid and CVT? CVT is constant velocity transmission.
Ray, I don't know. I'm gonna be straight with you. I know one's a trans fluid for something that doesn't have to be like certain amount of pressure doesn't have to be applied between shifting gears and the way the fluid reacts versus ATF and being shuttled around inside. Let me try to make something up here to make it seem like I know. I could find.
I don't know, to be
I
honest with
don't
you.
know what it is. I don't know what the difference is. I don't really care. I just know
Dude,
this goes in, this goes in that, and that goes in that, and it makes it go like that, and that's all I need to know.
Zephyl or whatever, my oils are refined from bat guano and particulated through a natural coffee filter.
Damn, that sounds good.
That's a really good oil, believe it or not. That reminds me of Ace Ventura.
Yeah.
Guano! Should I trust a dealer on my 2017 Escape 2.0 on a coolant? Something. Continuous variable, constantly variable, same thing. If you notice, ATF is used in CVT application. CVTs are actually driven by a belt, kind of like the belt on your lawnmower when you do the blade. It's got a pulley system on it. When I worked at Nissan, I actually did a video on a CVT transmission. You're gonna have to go back and look for a while. I don't like CVTs.
What does it say? Mercedes AMG for life. Does it crank and start after it cools off? Who asked that?
Mercedes AMG. Jonathan.
Oh,
Oh, at Mercedes. He's talking to at Mercedes. I guess he's
um,
trying to answer the question.
I have. Okay, so I have an '01 Ranger, 193,000 3 liter with 5 converters. Capstan 5W20, put 5W30 with 20% MMO. It has a miss at idle. I think the clog converter shop said that they had to keep the old cats as they. No, they don't. A lot of times, those converter shops they have to ask you whether or not you want them back, and sometimes they don't have the ability to actually recycle them because they don't have a license, or they don't have anybody with a license to come pick them up because you're supposed to be licensed now to do that kind of stuff.
Okay, I see what you're
So,
saying here. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
um, slight miss. Have you what kind of diagnostics have you done, Gary? Have you checked to make sure that it wasn't ignition coil related, that it wasn't spark plug related, that it wasn't some of the. I had one where PCM wires were bad in one of them as well.
Should I trust a dealer to diagnose if I have a coolant intrusion on my 2017 1.5 Escape.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
What they specialize in.
I lost my arse on my Power Stroke, but needed something the wife and kid can drive comfortably.
Should long-term fuel trim be equal for both Bank 1 and Bank 2 on a 3.5 EcoBoost? On mine, Bank 1 is showing -4 and Bank 2 is +3. That's normal.
Yep.
There's no guarantee that they're going to be the same. As long as it's like, I don't know, I typically tell people ±5 one way or another. Sometimes you can go a little bit more depending on what state, if the vehicle's still kind of cold. Just all depends. But yeah, ±5 is normal.
I think the actual workshop manual says ±5 or ±6.
Yeah.
So that's well within range.
Mm. Hardway bought a taco. Sorry for you.
Mm.
BT says we have a 2011 Subaru Outback 2.5 CVT for 187,000. It's been bulletproof. I just sold to one of the subscribers here. He's a wedding DJ coordinator guy or something like that. I forget what they call. I think his name is from TBM Productions. He actually came out to the shop and bought our 2010 Subaru Tribeca. And we just put a newer engine in, or an engine with less miles in, and we had like brand new tires, like one side had new ball joint. We put a new CV axle in it. The customer, before the engine went on it, ended up putting a whole new
Oh,
pedal.
my phone's dying.
Oh, looked like he froze up. I want everything. How do I get that wrench junk in a box? What are you talking about? How do I get? I had a vacuum leak on bank the other day. Was trying to balance it out. Hit that thumbs up. Yeah. Well, we had like there was a ton of people in here one time. Not everybody's hitting the thumbs up. We missed a lot of opportunities for people to help hit the thumbs up and share it, but they kind of missed the bed, shit the bed completely. Not all CVTs are terrible, but the bad Nissan as Jasco units give them all bad rep. Yeah. The worst thing with my 1.5 2016 is finding the hole in the transmission to change the fluid. Why? It's not hard. What happened with that? I mean, I have a video showing you exactly how to do it too. It shouldn't be that hard. Dennis, thanks, boss man Ford. I'm 66. My dad had a standard station. I've learned much from you. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for letting me in your life and just letting me be somewhat a part of it. And then you not judging me whenever I make mistakes and stuff like that, and letting me recover from it. There's so many people here that are so quick to judge, man. They just it's like they're almost waiting for you to make a mistake so they can correct you. It's really sad that in general, a bunch of grown men would be that way to other grown men. And, that's one of the biggest things that I see on this app is that grown men in general, they've never been able or been allowed to actually be men. And when they get the chance to be confident behind a computer screen or something like that, it makes them feel powerful and they want to say and do whatever they want. But then when they see you face to face, they're completely different people. And I've had the opportunity to meet a lot of people on here that have come and did business with me. That have come and bought things from me, and they see that I'm the same person no matter what. I don't change how I am. I don't put on a facade or a show or anything for the screen. At the end of the day, I have to lay down and be consciously aware of what I did that day and how I treated people that day, and know that I'm okay with that. Um, Jay, the speaker here, He's a subscriber here. Um, he's a younger guy. I didn't know that, but I treat him just like anybody else. And he said something to me one time and kind of got under my skin a little bit, and I told him about it. And I wasn't trying to be mean to him. When I told him, I just come right out and told him about it. This is how I feel as a man talking to another man. This is how I feel. And he felt like I kind of chewed him out a little bit. And I didn't mean it that way. But in real life, he came to my shop. He came to see me and speak to me and shake my hand and say, "Hey, man, I didn't mean anything by that. I would like a job. I'd like to work with you. I'd like to learn from you." That was pretty dang cool, man. A young man that had the integrity, that had the nerve and the drive and the passion to continue to be. He showed up and shook my hand and said, "I'd love to work with you." And now he's working for me. It's one of those things where no matter what, um, as long as you're okay with being who you are and true to yourself, that's all that matters. I had another guy on here. He's a Meineke tech. He drove 50 minutes away today to come see me just to hang out and shake my hand and say thank you and finally meet me and stuff. And he said, you've been a part of my life now for quite a while. All the guys at the shop, they love you, man. You help us all out. And I just wanted to actually come out here now that I got off work early and drove 45 minutes away to come see me and spend about an hour with me walking around, letting me show him a little bit of my life and stuff like that. And it's the same way. You're just the same in real life as you are on this camera because I ain't got nothing to hide from nobody. It don't. A lot of people don't like that about me though. They want to see a show that I'm not going to put on for this camera. What kind of cars have I had the pleasure to work on? Oh man, you name it, man. Just name it. Jay will tell you all the different cars and stuff we have at the shop. Um, good night. What exactly is the correct grease for the caliper pins? The ones with the smaller rubber boot on the pin itself. I just use the brake caliper grease, just the regular stuff that says brake caliper grease at the parts store. It'll say dielectric grease and it'll say brake caliper grease all in the same label that it can be used for both. Uh, what kind of cars have you had the pleasure of to work on, man? We just had a SL65 AMG in the other night. Somebody said, that's like a $200,000 car, and I said, I know it's damn expensive. I didn't know it was a $200,000 car, but I know that sucker's expensive, and I know I wouldn't be afford to fix what's on it. The customer came in just for basic maintenance stuff that it was this interval of like 20 or 30,000 miles, but because of time, he didn't hit the miles, but he hit it by time. He wanted the trans service and everything. It was like a $5,100 job on that car. That's how much it cost to service that car. Front brakes, rear brakes, rotors, the sensors in the caliper pads, the transmission fluid, the pan. I guess it's a whole pan. I don't know what it is, assembly that goes up on this thing, and 24 spark plugs with gold. They're gold tipped spark plugs, and it's like, my gosh, I'd never want to own one of these things. They're fast and they look just amazing, but I would never want to own one. 80s model Mercedes, every single, pretty much any import you can find. My buddy just sold. Now, when I tell you guys this, you may not, I don't even know how to explain it. It may not even seem right. My buddy just sold a Subaru. It was like I want to say like a '03, '02, 2001 or something like '04. I don't know what it was, but it was a special Subaru. And he took like three different generations of Subarus and built one Subaru and had it a certified Subaru. And he had special pictures made with signatures and stuff on it. And it had like It had the Subaru Blue Rally like decals and stuff throughout the entire car, and it was just an amazing machine. And he took different generations and then somehow had something certified as a one of so many that somebody had done this type of modification to and built the Subaru up, and it was just I can't even I've never seen anything like it. And he put a lot of work into it, and it only had like 57,000 miles on it. And somebody came from Chinatown in Chicago and paid like I want to say they give like $27,000 or $25,000 cash for this car. Just bought it outright. They wanted it that bad. As soon as he posted it, somebody came like a day or two later and gave him cash for the car. So we worked on some pretty rare cars and have some really nice cars that a lot of people haven't seen. Or, it's just I've got an old Wrangler at the shop. I've got a boat at the shop we're working on. You know, I've we're doing swaps. We're V6s to V8s, and we do a lot of modification stuff. If people want it done, they want to pay. Um, I won't show my GT40 collection because I don't have one. I can't afford one. Mm. David, good night. Oh, he said he wants to come back. Let's let him back in. There he is.
Phone died. Sorry. Sorry, my kids are playing a game.
Jonathan, if you send your Chevy my way, would I look over it? Yeah, I'll look at anything you guys send me. I'll look over. Saw the Genesis video. You think they improved at the moment? I don't know, man. I don't really know. All I know is that it's back together now. It's got an engine with about 35,000 less miles on it, and it's really clean. Hopefully, it stays that way. I ended up getting the Nissan NV 3500 engine in today, or not today. Yeah, today the 5.6 liter came in. I was not too happy with how it showed up. It was an Arizona salvage place that has a very, very high rating. And when the engine showed up on the pallet, it was all bubble wrapped up or, packaged up with plastic wrap and stuff like packaging plastic wrap. But once I started cutting through the plastic wrap and looking at the top of the engine, they had strapped the engine down to the pallet so hard that the metal straps actually cut through, or they broke the plastic valve covers on the engine, and both valve covers are cracked all the way through on both sides. So I'm going to have to pull those valve covers, clean out the sludged up ones they're on the sludged up engine real good, and then get a set of valve cover gaskets for it. Maybe I don't know how the other ones look. We'll see. And then actually broke two of the ignition coils because they ran the strap right over the ignition coil connectors. And I'm thinking to myself, man, they couldn't be any more negligent than this. Um, this is kind of crazy. So we're going to be doing that NV 3500 engine here in the next couple days, getting that knocked out, and finally getting that van out of my hair completely. Because what a little stubbly hair I have left. Um, that I've had that van for like a year and a half waiting to get that thing fixed, and finally got an engine for it. 2015 Ford Escape popping noise, AC or accessory and hard braking. What does that say? Acceleration and hard braking. Parts that have been replaced are new CVs, new control arms, new sway bars, all new motor mounts. Thanks. Popping on hard acceleration. When you say sway bar, let's see here. New CV, new control arms, new sway bars, new sway bar links. What are we talking about there? Remember, uh, The center hold downs also can wear out and pop and make that tapping, popping sound, sometimes more of a tapping sound. Um, those can. Also, you said, what about strut mounts? Have you done anything with strut mounts? Because if you load up the front end enough and it kind of unloads and comes back together on acceleration or deceleration, depending on how you get on the brakes real hard and then let go, it'll bounce that front end and the struts will tap inside the housing as well. Yeah, it is bedtime. I got to get up early too. It's freaking 10 o'clock at night. How can these shops these days claim they are changing camber on alignments when not a single part on the suspension is adjustable? Sometimes you try to get it as close as you can and you're not really changing camber. There's other things that you can change in adjustment that will affect camber. So if you realize your steer ahead is one way or your camber is one way and you don't have adjustments, a lot of times guys will loosen the subframe bolts and they'll actually knock the subframe one way versus the other and they'll tighten everything back down. So there's measurements and there's ways you can manipulate things. And remember, every single manufacturer is not all the same. There's certain manufacturers that require certain tools where you can change camber just by simply loosening the upper plates on the strut area or a suspension component and using a special tool to start twisting or mitigating that component a certain way, and it will move something in or out or forward or back that looks like it's not adjustable, but it actually is. And you don't necessarily need a bolt to adjust certain things. You can actually maneuver or manipulate certain parts of the suspension to make other things change as well. I had a 2010 Escalade and it was leaking brake fluid from the master to the booster. Customer declined the brake booster. I wanted to change it because it was full of fluid. Is it my fault when he loses brakes? I mean, did you take like a suction cup or like a regular brake bleeding suction cup and drop the hose down in there and suck all the fluid out? I would have at least done that while I was there. Just real quick, hook it up to the line, drop the hose down there, pull all that fluid out there as much as possible. I mean, it ain't gonna come back on you unless you're the shop owner. And if you're the shop owner, you should have had dude sign some kind of paperwork clearing you and declining the work. So ultimately, at the end of the day, can the customer actually come after the shop and win? Yes, they can. There's a lot of situations where customers have tried to do that stuff. In one cases, even though the shop owner has covered their butt and got the signatures and stuff appropriately, you find in a situation where the customer is still found in favor, even though they're wrong. Because they'll say the shop should have known better to let the vehicle go that way. So if you could have sucked a certain amount of fluid out and gave the guy more braking power by doing so, you could have taken that extra 15, 20 seconds to pull the fluid out of it, and this situation may not have happened. But then you say to yourself, well, it's time that I'm putting into something I'm not getting paid for. Really, at the end of the day, the court system doesn't care what you're not getting paid for. They care what kind of lawsuit they have at hand and how much money they're going to make. What engine do you consider the most reliable Ford produces, like on the high end, meaning trucks? On the half tons, it's going to be the 5 liter for me. Um, and then I have my might even some people might even argue with me on that and say, what about the 3.3? You can get a 3.3 in the truck as well. You could argue that, and you might be right. Actually, it may be the 3.3, the NA. So it just all depends on how you want to look at it. Both of them are naturally aspirated engines. A lot of people think that 2.7 liter EcoBoost is bulletproof because it's still built off the compressed graphite platform that the Super Duty engine was built off of. It still has that really high strength two piece block design. It was a lot of people praise that design because it is very, very strong. You can get a lot out of it, but it's going to come down to the NA engines for me. And if it's a Super Duty platform, I would probably say any of the new stuff is pretty stout. The 7.3, the 6.8. Is it the 6.8 that they went to now? Or they have the 6.8s back or something like that?
I haven't seen any 6.8s. Usually just the 7.3s and the 6.7s is what I'm running. I'm not saying they don't have the 6.8, but I haven't come across any.
Whoa, Robert, with always dropping the super chats. Appreciate it, brother. Always appreciate it, man. Thank you. Um, I'll get off work until 7:30, and I won't make it home until 12. Just wake back up 6 hours later. Well, don't push yourself to come in the morning, Jay. If you're tired or whatever when you get home or something like that, you ain't got to be there exactly at 7 o'clock when I get there. I don't really start get anything going until 7:30 after I open up the shop and get the lights and everything turned on anyway. So when you get to work in the morning, you get to work. If you want to be there a little later because you're tired, that's fine. You can be there a little later. Yeah, Robert's always taking care of us here, dropping super chats. He's realistically, if someone is meticulous about maintaining their car, how long would the 462 valve last? I've seen some on what is it, with 700. Yeah, more than that. White Goodman. There was a dude that had a whole article wrote on him. He had over 1,000,000 miles on one. Nathan J on here. He had he bought a town car, a black one, a really nice one, and they hooked it up to IDS and got the miles off of the PCM. The PCM said like 550 some or 540 some thousand miles on it before he got rid of it. And he kept telling me, man, I'm hearing this like knocking sound coming from the transmission area for some reason. And what it was the bell housing of the transmission where the bolts and everything go through. They were corroding so bad. And the wrecker, the guy at the wrecking yard that tore everything apart, pulled the engine and stuff out of it, said that engine was still good at 540 some thousand miles. He said that engine was still good. The only thing happened was the bell housing on the transmission was cracking. It's just so old and been wore out so much in the salt belt up here in Chicago that it was time for it to go. But hell, we've seen them with hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of miles on them. No, I like the 6.7 diesel and the 7.3. They're really good engines. The only problem was the fleet guys. Some of the fleet guys that were like the construction companies and like the concrete crews that are really, really, really hard on these trucks were just letting them sit and idle. It was tearing them up. Camber is easily adjustable by twisting the frame. Well, maybe if you do that with two wheels pointed up in the air, adjust the camber that way. Dude, the subscriber on here came out. I took him out in the Grand Marquis. And he came in his factory Grand Marquis, and he was like, "So tell me about this thing." And I said, "Well, I've got the exhaust done. I've got the Marty tune done, so the transmission, the engine's tuned. It's on 93 octane right now. It's got all the tubular rear suspension, polyurethane bushings. It's got the Adco rear inch and 3/8 sway bar and stuff in it now, so it's really, really, really stiff. And when I'm going in the turns and coming out of it, this thing just hugs the road. It doesn't sway all over the place anymore. It's really tight. And the Duragrip Yukon LSD and Ford Racing 373 gear set, and so I got some goodies coming for it soon. I got the torque converter coming, but I'll take you out in it real quick. And we went and ripped around for about 10 minutes in the car, and coming back, I got on it real hard a couple times, but when I was coming down the main stretch coming to the shop. I said, "Watch this." As we're going down the road, I matted it, downshifted to first, and when it went to shift back in a second, tires again. He was like, "Oh my god, man, this thing is awesome!" And I said, "It don't seem like a Grand Marquis no more, does it?" And he said, "No, I didn't even know you could do all this stuff to these cars." I said, "You could do a lot to them, but it's expensive, man. It's freaking every little thing that you do. It's like another $500 to $1,000 every single. You want to upgrade the front suspension on it with coilovers through ADTR? It's another 2 grand. You want to upgrade the rear with coilovers? It's another 2 grand. It's like every single thing costs a ton of money." Yeah, that's what I do, Jay. I jump on there. Same name as on here though. You could go in there and find me under Ford Boss Me, and it'll friend request me, and then I'll jump on there and whoop up on you. Sometimes I'll let this old man show you how it's done. But I get kind of competitive though, so if you're a scrub, I might have to train you up a little bit. 2012 250 with a 6.2 gas. Yeah, yeah, it's really good. The only thing I had an issue with 12, 13, 14 with the 6.2s was there was a slew there on and off where some of the landscaping and construction companies would come in and there'd be a misfire, and we'd have guys coming in all the time. Um, uh-oh, Robert's 17 months FBM club step up. Uh, we had an issue where they would come from another shop and they would put plugs in it and ignition coils in it, and it would not take the misfire away. They couldn't find compression problems, they couldn't find valve problems, they couldn't find timing problems. They found no problems at all. And I said, this is one of the things. And I used a specific video to teach you guys about this stuff. And I said, this is one of the things I run into from time to time. Now, the customers come to the dealer, and I happen to have prior experience with this. There's a technical service bulletin out, or I think it's a TSB. It talks about specific years of the Super Duties with the 6.2 liters and a misfire, and you'll have people chasing their tail. And all it is a simple PCM update for the strategy of how it fires that ignition. And it updates all the programming and stuff for it, and the truck runs like it's brand new, like you just put a new engine in it. You had a Grand Marquis, you would like a Lincoln. I could tell you the Lincoln and the Grand Marquis ride different night and day. Now, if you get a Grand Marquis with air ride suspension, then you're gonna pretty much feel the same. But my Lincoln Town Car with my airbags and stuff going down the road in that thing is so smooth, man. Going to work in the morning in my town car with the 373 gears to kind of wake it up a little bit. And I got a 93 octane tune, but it's a little bit different than the Marty tune. Mine's done through just the base programming on the SCT, which is not the same as how Marty does it. Um, and if you don't know what a Marty tune is for a Panther platform, just Google Marty Och, MARTYOCH, or Moe's Speed Shop Marty tune, and it will pop up. And you can contact him, let him know Ford Boss sent you and stuff, and maybe he'll hook you up with a little bit of a Ford Boss recommended price. Um, he does a phenomenal job. He specializes in these cars. He builds them, race versions, and everything else. And he just does an excellent job knowing how these cars should operate. And he didn't really have to ask a lot of questions. He already knows what you need. When you tell him what you got, he already knows how to figure it out. And it's just it's such a nice car. Just the Lincoln Town Car in general is, even back then, the sticker price for my car was like just a basic signature series was like a $45,000 car, $46,000 car. So can you imagine if they were still making that car today, what the price of that car would be? It'd be through the roof.
Hey, Rich, you got to put some 411s in that thing now.
Yeah, a lot of people are like they tell me all the time that you didn't do the right gear set whenever you did that. You should have did the 410s or something. And I was like, I kind of like it the way it is. It's
I'm
peppy
just saying
enough.
for shits and giggles.
Yeah. Thoughts on the reliability of the 4R75E? It's a reliable transmission. It's a very, very reliable transmission. It's not a super strong transmission. So you're not going to go add, 600 horsepower and beat that transmission every single day, and it's just not going to happen. But the 4R75E and the 4R70W are basically the same thing. There's very little that's been changed between the two. You got an more electronic control version. Some people say the torque converter was a little bit better and stuff like that. But really, when you talk to a trans guy, they're going to tell you the 4R75E and the 4R70W are the same thing. There's not one better than the other. I think the 4R75E being more electronic based and how it's controlled and stuff does shift better. It doesn't have that super lazy shift to it and stuff like the 4R70W does. I can definitely feel a difference there. Hey, Rich, you say 373 is a nice gear. You're not going to the drag strip. Who you talking to? Pull up, sucker. I put that Shelby behind me. Ah, wouldn't it suck? You pull up in that Shelby and get smoked by a dang Grand Marquis with a Pro Charger. Pull up in the light. Hey, what's up, man? What's up? What do you got? Oh, that's a GT 350. I didn't know you were so far behind me. I couldn't tell. Pull up. Hey, I got something at the shop right now and make you squawk, baby. It's a 14. It's a 13 or a 14 Mustang with a P1SC1 on it. And that sucker is nasty. And I'm talking nasty. I've been in Shelby's and stuff like that before. But this car, the way the tune is for the trans and everything like that, it feels like the body's trying to rip off the freaking wheels of this thing when you go to launch this Mustang. It is absolutely freaking disgusting. And I said, I know why they call it a damn crowd killer now. Good night. I love you too. I'm almost done. You do got a nice car, Rich. That GT 350R, you cannot find another car that performs like that car does. It's just not. It's such a nice car, and the way it sounds and the way it rides, the way it drives, the exoticness of how it feels when you're driving. It doesn't even feel like an American car a lot of time. When you're in the power band and how you're making that thing perform, it's like 0 to 140 mile an hour, and you're like, what just happened? How did I even get here? I don't even understand. What is your shop rate per hour? 150. Is dot three still relevant? Yeah, but a lot of people have already switched over from dot three to dot four because they're like backwards compatible. So people don't even put dot three in their systems anymore. They flush it all out and they just put dot four in there. But whoever they're going, Mustangs get nastier. Them Mustangs get nastier than a single mom when the kid's gone for the weekend. Oh my God, Jay. Hey, and I'm telling you what right now, no kidding, Anthony, no kidding. If you seen Jay, you'd be like, is he like 16 years old? Jay is like, he looks so young, but he's a grown man. He's got a kid on the way and everything like that, right? But I told him the other day when I seen him, I said, some of the comebacks that you have when people are acting silly in the comment section and some of the things you say, you'd think you were like 40 years old or something, or you'd lived a ton of your life already and learned. I said, where the heck do you get these from? And he says, man, I got to be able to stay on my toes with these old guys in the post office and stuff, man. You got to let them know, hey, Real Ford Tech GT350R sounds badass. It does, man. It just you can't match a sound like that from that car. That car is just with that flat plane crank and all this. It's such an exotic American. It's like there's like a twist to it.
Mustangs themselves have a very distinct sound. You can tell it's a Mustang going down the road, whether it's stock exhaust, full exhaust, whatever. You know it's a Mustang. You
Hey,
know.
you know something else I noticed, Anthony, from the
What's that?
beginning of time. I think since the Magnum engine with Chryslers, I could hear a Chrysler start, and all their starters, the way the starting systems all sound the same. I'm like, that's the damn Chrysler, and I turn around looking at
Hmm.
that. There's a Chrysler. They all
Yeah.
sound the same the way they start. Sound like shit. Is the GT350 more usable than a 500? I can't answer that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know much about the G.
It depends on what you're using it for. I mean, the 500s, the 350 and the 350R, if I'm not mistaken, maybe you can answer this. The 350R doesn't have a back seat. It's basically like a race car. I could be wrong. The 500 is more of a track car anyway. The 350, yeah, you can go get groceries in it, but why would you want to? I mean, all three of those cars are just beasts.
I know some people have talked about some of these cars being able to be ordered with a rear seat delete.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. The rear seat delete. Usually, the R version has the rear seat delete.
What did you say? He said, I drove a GT500. I'll keep the 350R manual. I mean, the 350R manual was nice, but when I went in that Tremec 7 speed, whatever dual clutch GT500 that we have, the red one that I have on the channel, and I pulled it around to the back, kind of takes your breath away when you launch that thing. It's like, what the heck just happened?
Yo, that dual clutch Tremec ain't no joke, man. Like
Uh,
that thing's a beast. And both of
but it,
them are flat plane cranks.
yeah,
And but because the flat plane gives you a higher rev, uh, gives you a higher RPMs in the rev. Motorcycles are the same way. Yeah, except for the Yamaha like R1, it has a cross plane crank. But all your other ones are flat plane cranks.
you know,
But
I
that
I was what I was impressed with out of all these cars. Like I don't get me wrong, I like the GT500, the GT350R, but when I drove the Roush, like the IS3 package or whatever it's called, their stage 3 pack, the supercharged Mustang with like the $1,400 a side CV axles in the rear and everything else, the upgraded tire package and whatever it is, the handling, that is a nasty, nasty ride, man. It's like 675 horse or something like that or whatever.
well, that's like the saline back in the day. You remember those?
Yeah,
Oh man, those things were a beast. But
yeah, we had.
my
Yeah,
dream car is the GT350R. I want a
yeah,
GT350R.
yeah. My dream car is none of them. My dream car is like a 1971 Pontiac Firebird. I loved the Pontiac Firebird for that year. I've always, always, always dreamed about it. But they want like $30,000, $40,000 for those cars restored.
It's funny you say that because right down the road from my house, there's this old car lot. It used to be a used car lot. He's got one out front. It needs to be restored. That's it. And I haven't been able to stop in and ask how much he wants for it because my son wants to get it
Yeah.
and start restoring it. And he'll be 12 this month. He wants to buy that car so he can start restoring it.
No. Oh, night, Jonathan. The Lightning is a beast on takeoff. Oh yeah, sure it is. It's fast. scary fast. To feel an F-150 like that. You know, I had a we did a Roush supercharger on a F-150 that was on the channel. It was like a 2018. It only had like 27,000 miles on it. So we figured, why not take a Coyote and just dump the stage one package into it or something like that. I think it was like 10 grand or whatever. And it made the truck fast, don't get me wrong. But it was not what I expected because every time you'd go to launch that thing and get into like it'd start to make power, even though it was tuned and it had the right, factory tuning and stuff to go along with that kit and everything in it. It felt like no matter what, you couldn't get rid of the traction controller. Like it was trying to fight itself. When you try to make power, it felt like it was almost trying to pull it away. Once the truck would really start to climb up there and start to just take off like a bat out of hell, it felt like it almost wanted to pull back. Like there was some kind of computer control there that was stopping you from giving what you wanted. And it's this you're putting a 650, 700 horsepower kit together, and you feel like you want all the beans, and you can't have it because there's something still trying to take it away from you because of the tuning that was involved. Good night, baby.
I know the new Shelby trucks, they're like
Oh, yeah.
780 horsepower or something.
I'm trying to turn off now, okay?
Okay, I'll tell them. They're
The new
780
Shel
horsepower?
Yeah, the new Shelby F-150. It's like 750 or 780 or something like that. And they start at $112,000.
Wow.
That thing is I'll send you a picture of it. You can get it in a standard cab or four door. That thing is a beast, though.
Are you talking about, Gary? Are you talking about an old Lightning? Like an old, like 544 valve type Lightning? Once
The
those
new,
old five, go ahead.
I was gonna say the new Lightning is an electric truck, and I did PDI one of those, and I did test drive it. It will haul. I'm not a electric car person at all,
Yeah,
but that
neither am
thing
I.
will haul. That
Oh
thing
yeah.
will haul. But I would rather have the old Lightning that's supercharged. My buddy, my best friend who passed away 2 years ago, he had a '04, the last year that they made them. Standard cab, obviously, 5.4 supercharged. That thing was a beast. Like it'll roll.
Robert, does that 98, does it have the V8 in it, or is it the V6? Jared, Richard's the OG. Yeah, old is right. Oh, I don't know about G. I might be like, yeah, I might be the
Man, we
letter
talking
I.
about old. I'm
Huh?
older than you are.
You fucking ain't. You ain't older than me either. I bet you my body's
I
more
am.
broke down than yours.
I don't know. We can compare that later.
Hey, we'll compare that in Vegas. How old are you?
I'll be 40 in December.
Yeah, you're older than me, but I bet you I'm more fucked up than you.
I don't know. We'll compare scars. We've both been through some shit.
uh, I didn't know you were 40. I thought you were like my age.
Yeah. 1983.
You fucking old man.
Hey, shut up. It's gonna get weird before it gets warm.
3.8 runs like a top.
Mach 1, 68 Mach 1 manual. You guys are kids.
40 kids? Yeah.
My first
But
car. My first
hey,
car was a 65 fastback.
once we turn 50 or whatever, he's gonna be 70 saying the same thing. 50 kids. It's a never returning. We heard it when we were 20, we heard it when we were 30. Now we're turning 40 and we're still hearing it. Kids. It ain't never gonna go away. How do you get around the 12.6 to 13 voltage charging for the 21 F-150? Take it back to the dealer and you let them look at it. There's so many different things that can cause something like that that I wouldn't even have a direct
That's
answer for you right here.
that's called warranty. Let them deal with it.
That's
What
called their problem,
what's the
not yours.
craziest mistake you've heard about someone doing when working at a Ford dealership? Oh man, there's so many.
Are you guys? Hey,
Parents had
you are you ready for something juicy right now? I don't know if I should tell it right now. Well, if I tell it
no,
right now,
tell it.
it'll kind of be gone right now. If I tell it right now, nobody will really see it in the future because nobody really watches the live streams after they're posted. They really don't get that many views. So maybe I should tell it now. All right, y'all ready for this? Let me kick up the seat for this. We're gonna end it with this. The hell, seat's falling apart. So we get new management at the dealership. And I ain't saying no names or nothing like that, so you ain't gonna pull it out of me. We get new management at the dealership. The owners of the company, they come in and they fire the general manager. The reason they fired the general manager is because they were kind of tired of some of his BS, right? So a customer had came and bought the Mach E. Well, that Mach E, I told a story in the past. That Mach E had come back in for some pinstriping. The customer that bought the car said, "Man, this car is really too plain. I'd like some pinstriping put on the car just to bring out some of the accent or just to add something to it." And I've always been a fan of pinstriping. So can I pay for you to have somebody pinstripe the car? And the dealer said, "Oh yeah, we have some people that they specialize in doing that, and we're gonna drop off the car over there and let them pinstripe the car." So they dropped it
That was
off at
part of our PDI.
what
We
pinstriping?
every yeah, pinstriping was part of our PDI. There was only me and two other techs that could do it because everybody else would cut into the paint when they cut the stripe. But PDI, when we PDI trucks and stuff, the only thing that didn't get a pinstripe was a Mustang. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
You mean put? I mean putting a stripe all down the side of the car and putting a design in the
Yeah,
car.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was part of our PDI. Yeah,
Yeah, no, this is what the dealers don't do that no more. So that's been gone for a long time. So I'd never seen anything like that. So we had to sublet that stuff out, and this guy dropped it off at this specialty shop, and well, then all of a sudden the customer comes into the dealership, and they're like, "Hey, man, what the fuck? I just found my car over at Joe Blow's body shop over here. That ain't where you guys took it to. So why is it at somebody else's body shop?" And he says, wait a second, let me figure out what's going on. So what the hell is going on with this thing? So they call up the place where they dropped it off and they said, "Hey man, the customer's like freaking out. Their vehicle's over here. We dropped it off with you. Oh yeah, well, we couldn't get to doing the pinstriping. So they dropped it off at this other place that they know that does pinstriping. They sublet the job out. So we sublet it out to them. They sublet it out to somebody else because they got it too covered up. Where the customer's Ford Pass was going off, notifying them that all these codes are being set in the computer system and stuff like that, and gave them a location of where the car was at. So they went to the location of where the car was at, tracked the car down somehow, and when they went in, they were like, "I want to see my car." And they're like, "Well, your car's in the back. It's being worked on right now." And they're like, "Well, I want to see my car." "No, well, you can't go back there. That's where they're working." "No, I'm going to go back there and see my car." So he goes through the door and sees his car with fresh primer on the lift gate, where they had backed up into another car in that shop and put a dent in the liftgate area of it and were trying to hurry up and fix it real quick. But they had to take the plastic and everything off and unplug stuff so they can tape and do this like proper repair work. And they're like, no, the customer was livid, was like, no, this is not fucking happening. I'm not taking this brand new car that I just bought with this body repaired liftgate. You're going to put a new liftgate on this car, or else I am not. I will not make a single payment on this, and I will make Ford take this back. This is not going to happen. So the way that dude handled that situation, the management overall didn't really care for it. And the owners of the company really didn't care for stuff like that happening because there had been a few incidents like this where he was trying to brush it off. It was no big deal. Basically, tell the customer, "Well, deal with it. We're going to take care of it. Don't worry about it, and it'll be taken care of when it gets taken care of. Stop causing a big fuss about it and stuff like that." Well, it was a big deal. And the customer was pissed about it, right? So they came in, the owners of the company fired this guy. They let him go. And we ended up getting a new guy, a new general manager, a new sales manager, and three new salespeople from another dealership. Nobody really knew too much about the chick that was coming in, right? This is where the story kind of starts getting juicy. Well, when those new people came in, this girl, she's dressing in these tight clothes all the time, her boobs all pushed up all the time, and wearing this the fantasy office secretary clothes where you can see every outline and stuff of this girl. She knows what she's doing. 27, 28 years old, flaunting her stuff around all over the place. Guys were making special trips just to go by her office and cubicle and everything else where she sits, just to look at her and stuff, right? Well, these two, one of the salesmen was always walking the lot with her. Every time she would go from one side of the dealership to the other side of the dealership, anytime she would go outside the building to get a drink, anywhere she would go, this little Hispanic guy would follow this gorgeous looking Hispanic girl, right? Well, her body was really, really nice. Her face was, eh. She was all right. Okay. So all the guys were kind of like really fascinated by this girl that's working here at our dealership now that looks like this. And she doesn't look like your typical woman that would go to work somewhere in this type of environment. Like she's purposely trying to display herself like this. So there's something more to her that we don't know yet. And why would this one guy, every time she leaves the building, be trailing behind her like a lost puppy dog? Every time she leaves the building, every time she goes anywhere, every time she looks at cars, anytime she's going to talk to a customer, this dude wants to be right there with her, not letting her do her own thing. I don't know. Time goes by. A couple weeks later, somebody in the shop says, "Hey, man, you know that girl's got an OF, right?" And everybody in the shop's like, "Who? What?" The mechanics? We don't care about what's going on up front. We're back here trying to make money and stuff like that. We don't care about none of that that's going on, the drama in the sales department and stuff. There's always drama there. It ain't got nothing to do with us. It's like, if you guys don't know, in a dealership environment, it's like there's two different businesses being run. And it's always been that way. It's kind of a dog eat dog world. It's like there's a divider down the middle of the dealership. And service is always mad at why sales is making the rest of the business look bad because of the stuff they get involved in, and why we're trying to do the right thing and take care of them. And then the customers are getting screwed on the front end, and then we're having to deal with the backlash of it when they're not getting what they promised. So it's always been that way. It's always going to be that way until that model is completely changed or it's gone. So a couple weeks passed. Once these rumors start spreading around and people are starting to find out it's actually true. I'm in the shop. I'm working. All of a sudden, I see one salesman walk through. He looks like he can't even find like he's stumbling over his own feet. This male white guy, coming right behind him is a little short Hispanic guy. He's following right on his tail. And they go right to the bathroom in the middle of the shop where salespeople don't even really come. They don't even come back there by us. And they go back in the bathroom where it's nice and cool, and it looks like they're sweating bullets all down their face. There's like sweat all down their shirt. I'm like, what the hell just happened? These two guys walk like they were just trying to get away from like somebody chasing them or something like that. Go right in the bathroom. Like, what the fuck is this? Whatever. I don't even really care at this point. I'm just getting my job done. So I'm finishing up these brakes and stuff on this big maintenance ticket item. So I'm trying to jam this stuff out because this is gravy. And I get done with my job and stuff. A half hour later, they leave the bathroom. They go back around front. Those salesmen are long gone. Next thing I know, I hear sirens and stuff like that. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I walk up to the service advisors area and I go to the drive-in area and I look outside and there's cop cars and stuff parked outside and there's an ambulance out there. I'm like, the hell is this? What's going on at the dealership? It's going down at the dealership, man. Somebody get into a fight up here or something? And I walk up to the front where the sales area is and I see all these police officers and there's paramedics and stuff there. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? What is this? It's just like freaking WWE up here, and I didn't get invited to this stuff, man. Like, where's the popcorn? Where's the? I had to pulled up the lawn chair and everything, kick his ass, sea bass, or whatever, the whole 9 yards. And I throw something at him every once in a while and think he got hit just to keep him fighting or whatever. So I missed it. The damn paramedics already got one guy toted off so that it's somebody else, and I can't figure out what's going on. And then I start piecing stuff together. And then I start talking to management. Then we go into the office and we get on the cameras and stuff like that, and we're watching the cameras around the building. So somewhere around noon, by 11 o'clock, you see the girl walk from the sales department. Dented robot, you interrupting right now. Listen to the story. It's a juicy one. You see the girl go from the sales department out to the lot, and she's got the little Mexican dude traveling behind her. They go get in this black Toyota Camry. The white sales dude, he's already he's already in the car. Somehow he'd already got there before them, and I didn't rewind back far enough, but I didn't really care. I see the two dudes get in the car, or the girl and the dude get in the car. Well, I ain't talking about no intermittent no crank right now, Abdullah. We talking about OF. Anyway, we see the girl and the guy, the little Hispanic guy, get in the car. And they're in there for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, like literally just chilling in the same spot. And the car's not moving. About 30 minutes later, the car pulls forward, goes around the building to the back where all the customers' cars are parked. I switch cameras from camera like 4 to camera 6, and I can see the car going around the building, traveling along the backside. I switch over to camera 10, and I see it pull up next to a Ford Explorer. I said, "Oh, that's that Ford Explorer that girl owns." She jumps out of the Toyota Camry real quick, grabs this box of something from inside that Camry or inside the Explorer, takes it back to the Camry, closes the door, drives around back to the front of the lot, pulls in the parking spot in the used car slot where the customers would walk and look at all the different cars for sale, and gets back in there, and they're in there for about another 15 minutes. They do their thing in the car, and all of a sudden, you can see an arm go across, another arm go across this way in the shadow of like the glass in the back and stuff. And then all of a sudden, she gets out of the car and she's standing in the middle of the lot, screaming and waving her hands around. The little Mexican dude gets out behind her. He's screaming and waving his hands around and stuff and pointing at her and everything else. And they're yelling back and forth. Well, white dude gets out and he walks around the back row. Fuck this. I ain't in this shit. I'm going this way. And he walks away from them and lets them kind of argue and fight it out in the lot. And he goes back to the sales department. She walks out to the middle of the street and starts walking in the center lanes of traffic, back and forth pacing, like she's going to jump out into an oncoming car or something like that because something's going on with her. Well, the fire chief pulls up in his big red Ford Expedition, and he pulls up and he's trying to figure out what's going on. Well, he says, "Get out of the street. Get over there in the grass now." So he pulls into the lot to start questioning her. Right behind him comes the police. The police get her, walk her into the building. The police make it into the building. The little Mexican dude walks into the building as well. I switch to the camera up into the front sales office, the one where you can see everything that's going on. They go over to one of the side offices, and you can see she can't even stand up straight. She's swaying all over the place. The little Mexican dude's pinned up against the wall. He just leaned up against the wall. He can't even stand up. The wall's holding him up because he can't even function. He can't even sway. He's so bad and messed up on whatever they were doing in that car. The white dude's just pacing around the sales like area where all the salesmen and stuff are up in front of the building. The paramedics are trying to check this guy out, but this guy's like swinging at him and like trying to push him away and stuff like that. Well, they finally grab him and they get him subdued. And he's like, for a second, calms down, and they kind of let him go. Relax. Let us check your pulse and everything. What's going on? Asking him questions. He won't answer questions and stuff like that. that he starts punching himself in the face over and over and over again. I want to die. I want to kill myself. I want to. So he's doing all this in the sales on the sales floor in front of everybody. So they towed him out to the ambulance. They like lock him down, towed him out to the ambulance and stuff like that. He's got to go for medical attention immediately. Well, she's having a nervous breakdown in the office on the other side. She can't calm down. She can't do anything. She can't get her back. She can't breathe right. Then the paramedic said, if you don't calm down, I have to take you away. You do understand that that's like against every rule for me to leave you like this. If you can't stabilize yourself to a manner where we think that you're safe to be on your own, I have to take you to the hospital. And she just was acting like she was hyperventilating, and then she'd calm down and do it again. So he said, no, you got to go. I got to take you. I can't sit here all day and you got to go. So they put her in the ambulance and toted her away to the hospital. And I seen the white dude standing right there, and my body when I was up there from earlier, when I'm looking at the camera or when I first seen the paramedics, you could see me talking to the other salespeople that were on the floor because I was like, wait a second. I saw those two guys right there walk through the shop earlier with all sweat down their face and stuff like that. I was telling the story on the camera because I was rewinding everything and watching it back through. And I had just got done telling the salesman on the front floor while all the cops like were up there that I was like, huh, I just watched those two guys come through the shop like earlier this afternoon and they had sweat all down their body and they were beelining towards the bathroom and stuff like that, like something was wrong with them, but I didn't really put two and two together until now. They were out in that Toyota Camry getting fucked up. There was a half of a fifth of whiskey drank. There was a 12 pack of beer drank. They were out there smoking in that car and stuff on the clock. They drove around back to get more stuff and go back out there and party. And what it was, listen to this. She wanted to make a special video for her OF page. And she wanted that white salesman to be in the video. The guy, the Mexican dude that got the job with her there, wanted to be in the video, but with him first before her. And he wouldn't have none of that. So they got to arguing in that car and they spilled over outside and they started screaming at each other and stuff. And it all broke up and it all ended up with the police coming and her pacing back and forth in the road and everything else. And all these people got fired. Every one of them all got fired. We never seen nothing like this before in my life. Never at the dealership. All over the little Mexican guy wanted to be with the white guy before the white guy could be with her on the video. And this is all at the dealership. And I'm like, you have got to be freaking kidding me, man. This is some crazy stuff. Yeah. and they and they every one of them got fired. The little dude came back and was like, could I have my job back like a week later? No, man. No, you can't have your job back. And you know what? You know the little Mexican guy? She had a fiance, and the little Mexican dude was actually sexually with her behind the fiance's back. They were friends.
We had a service advisor get fired for drinking on the job. Like at his lunchtime, he took lunch at like 11:30, and about 12:30, he'd come stumbling back in and go sit at his desk. And customers were complaining that it smelled like alcohol.
Yeah.
So they pull him into the office and talk to him. Well, there was no proof that he was drinking on the job, right? So one day they watched the cameras. He got into his car, left, came back about 10, 15 minutes later, sat in his car, and was out there for that, 45, 50 minutes or whatever. But he never had food. He would go to the liquor store,
Yeah.
come back, sit in his car, and drink the whole fifth, and
Yeah.
then walk back in there. He got fired on the spot.
Yeah.
So he was a good dude. I mean, people fighting demons all the time that you know nothing about. But I mean, he
Oh
was a
yeah.
good guy. He just chose the wrong path. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there was another guy that got hired. He got fired on Christmas Eve. and he got hired on December 1st.
Yeah.
So that didn't last long. There was another guy working with us. His name is Rashad. He is actually with the fire department now. Uh, Rashad's like one of the nicest, coolest dudes you'd ever meet. Is always willing to help you. He'll go buy you lunch if you didn't have any money for lunch. He was a black guy. Like I said, one of the nicest, coolest dudes you'd ever meet. And the dude that got hired was one of those real young guys and thought he could joke around with everybody. And when you meet somebody for the first time, you can't really jump in on a joke that that person is joking around with other people. You know what I mean? They've known each other longer. So they were standing on the back parts counter, and Rashad was kind of leaning on the counter, and I walked up behind him. And our parts guy, John, he was a big dude. Well, the other dude walked up behind Rashad and called him the N word, jokingly. And Rashad, man, he's like, man, you don't know me. Don't call me that. He was like, what? And then he said it 5 times after that. And it's like, all right, I got something for you. He walked in the manager's office and was like, yo, he called me this word right here. Dude, sure enough, got called in the office, called me in the office, called the parts guy in the office. Yeah, you did say it. He asked you to stop after you said it the first time, but you said it 5 more times after that. I have to let you go. On Christmas Eve, dude was
Ooh.
sitting there straight bawling, dude, straight crying. Do I really got to get fired? I don't want to lose my job. Well, you broke like every HR rule there is.
Yeah.
Like, you don't
Yeah.
do that. He asked if you would have stopped when he asked you to, then this would have been like a warning, and probably you would have got wrote up for it, and we would have kept you guys separated. But you said it 5 more times after he told you to stop. So they wrote it down as like a racial thing, a racial slur. A couple other things. Yeah, Christmas Eve he got fired. And he'd
I
only been there for
mean,
21 days.
he asked for it. He got what he asked for, man. You don't play
Yep.
around with people that say they've had enough like that, man. So it's when people say that's not cool, it's not cool. We had a dude start with us. Mind you, our parts manager was new. Our parts people are new. And we have two of the parts guys are subscribed here on this channel. Um, what did this guy say? How many miles can I expect? Here we're telling stories here, and people are still asking questions about automotive stuff. Come on, man. How many miles can I expect on a well-maintained 3.5 Durastech? Three, 400,000 miles. I mean, they're great. They're great engines. I mean, just keep them maintained. Keep the services done when you're supposed to, if not earlier, and you'll be fine, man. They'll just run forever.
We had a
Um,
guy that had Napoleon syndrome.
hey,
He was a Marine.
uh, did he really have a Napoleon syndrome though?
Yeah, we do believe he had Napoleon syndrome. He was an okay dude. He would talk smack to you, but when you talk smack back to him, he'd want to get up in your face and want to fight. It's like, well,
Uh,
how you gonna talk? How you gonna talk smack to me? But then when I
yeah,
say it back to you, you want to fight. And then he made the mistake of saying, "I'll shoot this place up" in
yeah,
front of a shop with 20 different techs in it. Somebody made the remark of, "All you got to do is just stand on the lift; he'll miss you." But
yeah.
but no, he got fired. He got escorted off the property by the police. He had to get his wife to come get his last paycheck. It was a they took that serious. Like,
So we had a dude start working for our whole parts department's pretty much brand new, and we had a guy start working for us. And I thought he was an all right guy, but he was chewing gum all the time. From the time he'd get to work from and to the time he'd go home, he'd be chewing gum. He never gave himself a break from chewing gum. And I thought it was really odd that his jaw or his gum line or something like that would never be raw or sore. He was chewing gum all the time. And I thought it was something really weird about this guy, man. Who chews gum that much from the time they get to work until the time they go home and they've got buckets, the little buckets of ice cubes and or the little breaker cubes or whatever they are. And he's just this guy kept,
icebreakers.
yeah, he just kept them like all kind of different flavors and stuff like that. And he really liked the stronger spearmint or minty ones more than anything. So
Covering up
that
alcohol.
I've never seen anybody chew gum that much. Something is not fucking right with this guy. And this happened for weeks and weeks and weeks. And I went to my management. I said, something's not right with this guy, man. Something is not right. He don't look right at certain times of the day. When he first gets here in the morning, he's okay. He looks a little off. His eyes are really, really glossy. But a couple hours later, it starts to clear up and he looks all right. But then come lunchtime, noon, it's all bad again. And they thought at first, it's whatever, man. Just do your job. I'm sure it's nothing. So a couple weeks go by. I go back. I'm like, man, something really is. This guy is something's wrong with this guy, man. He's chewing gum around the clock. He's walking out to the lot, a lot to the back of the parking lot and stuff like that. And why doesn't he park his vehicle with everybody else where we all park? Why does he park so far away from the building, all the way out in the gravel, away from everybody where nobody parks, nobody wants to walk to in the wintertime and stuff, but he parks his vehicle all the way out there away from everybody. Something is going on here, man. And one day I went out there to pull a customer's car and I seen him go out, open the door, reach down inside the door, grab something, turn around, turn his back towards me, tip something up in the air, tip it up in the air again. And then the last time he did it, he tipped it up and he held it for a while and then he put it back down. And I was like, dude, this motherfucker is drinking on the fucking clock, man. Something is not right here, man. Something is really not right with this guy. He's not right in the head. So I talked to my general manager this time and I was like, "Dude, watch this guy. I'm telling you, he's going to be a problem. He's going to end up hurting somebody. He's going to hurt himself. He's drinking on the clock. This guy is not right. And I've been telling you, I've told you several times, you guys, several times since this guy started here, something is not right with this guy. I've been around alcoholics. I know something's wrong with this guy. And he goes, the general manager goes to the camera and he starts watching the cameras. He said, what the fuck, man? He's right. He's this dude is, and he goes in there and he says, go take a alcohol test right now. I want you to go right to the right this second. I want you to go straight to the hospital and I want you to blow. Go. They made him sign the paperwork and go, and it came back that he was way over the limit. And they said, look, within the laws in the state of Illinois, we have to give you one chance. We either have to help you with counseling, Alcoholic Anonymous or whatever the hell it is, and all this other stuff, or we have to give you one chance to fix your problem. I can't fire you on the premises of alcohol abuse, especially when it's such a bad situation for people to be in, because laws protect you the first time. So I'm giving you a chance. Clean up your act, or you're going to lose your job. A couple weeks go by, a month goes by, and my manager comes up to me. My general manager says, is he okay? And I said, it seems like he's gotten better, but I have still smelled alcohol in his breath throughout the day. It just hasn't been nowhere near as bad as it was before, but I do smell alcohol, and I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie for anybody. I do smell, and the guy needs help. So I do smell alcohol in his breath throughout the day. He's just nowhere near as bad as he was. Well, then he started more trips out there, and he caught him doing it. He said, go blow again. And he failed. And he said, yeah, unfortunately, at this point, you lost your job, dude. You can't work here drinking around on the clock like that and stuff like that and putting other people's safety in. But he really wasn't putting other people's safety at risk, even though there was always a possibility because he was a functioning alcoholic. He was really good at his job to an extent, and but there was a lot of times where it was abnormal how many times I had to repeat myself to him over and over and over and over again. And you can see the areas where the alcohol was affecting his performance negatively. And it was not just me. After I brought it up, other techs started mentioning and noticing the same thing. So it was very obvious what was going on. Well, after the guy he had got fired, it came down the pipe that the guy was actually dealing with a divorce and paying out a ton of money for things that were going on with the divorce and his kids and everything else. About a month after that, we got word that he was no longer with us. He had drank himself to death, liver shut down, and he passed away. But they said that, I guess, the little bit of information that they gathered, that's the route this guy was going anyway. His life had been that way for quite a while, and there was nothing that was going to be able to stop it. It's sad.
It's, it's everybody's fighting demons some way or another. You
Yeah.
don't know somebody else's situation.
It's it's really 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 sad, man. We had a 17-year-old kid um, apply for a job, blonde headed, mop top, a little bit of a loner. He took a special interest in me. He loved the fact how I taught the young guys. He always felt special when he was around me and stuff like that. He loved confiding in me and my the technician that was my work partner next to me. And he'd always spend time on the cars with me, wanting to learn while he was being a porter and washing cars and stuff like that. And he would come by and he'd learn something about changing oil or how to test a circuit for this or that. And he'd ask questions about cars. And we spent a lot of time together, especially in the evening time when the technician started going home about 3:30, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. I think his family life was it was a little off. It wasn't perfect. And he's like, I think it was 17, 18 years old. He was young. He was right there at like 17, 18 years old. Really, you could tell not developed at all. Never really dealt with any real life issues or anything like that, like real hard issues that other people have learned and grown from. Um, and the management would tell him to do something, and another manager would come along and tell him to do something else. And then the first manager would get mad because he wouldn't get what he told him to do done first, and he'd start yelling and screaming at him, calling him names, calling him all kinds of derogatory things. And then the other manager sometimes would get into a screaming match with the kid as well. Well, the kid started standing up for himself and would scream back and say the same words back to him. And I had pulled one of the managers aside and I told him, I said, you directly are not my manager. You are a manager here. So you're not really my boss. But what I'm going to tell you you need to do is you need to knock that crap off. You're going to cause a scene for us here. You're going to cause this kid to he's going to get put in a position to where he feels threatened by you and he's going to bring something to work to defend himself or something like that. And he seems like the type of kid that would do something like this. He's got emotional problems. He doesn't know how to deal with things. He's growing up still. He's put in a position where he has to go to work to try to provide for himself and stuff like that. He's trying to grow, and you guys are testing him at a really, really, really young age, putting him in a position to where it's not normal for a 17 or 18-year-old to have to try to react to grown men calling him out of his name, saying all these derogatory things to him and stuff like that. He's not developed on how to deal with that. And he's going to get there. But you cannot be saying the things that you're saying. Oh, come on, man. 40 years ago or 30 years ago, we people talk to us like this at jobs and stuff. No, it ain't the same anymore, man. It ain't the same anymore. Knock it off. I understand that that's what you want to do, but I value my life. I value the other tech's lives here, and you're creating your this breeding ground for what will happen in the future if you don't stop doing what you're doing. And two other techs join in with me. Two other senior techs joined in with me, and they both kind of stood up to this guy and said, "You do need to knock it off, man. We see what's going on and how you're getting into these shouting matches and stuff with him, and it's not appropriate what you're doing. You just need to
That
stop completely."
that's not good management skills anyway.
No, it's terrible. Managers don't do that. You
Mm-mm,
try to figure out what the problem is and you correct it or you counsel
mm-mm.
it. You give them a chance to fix whatever it is that's not being done. You have a chat with the other manager and you say, "You're stepping on my toes, man. I'm running the show at night and I understand you're a manager here, but I got to have certain things done. And you're really messing with this kid's head." So it got turned up to the service manager and the service manager, general manager. Nothing got done. Nothing got done. Nothing got done. Screaming matches kept going, kept going. And all of a sudden, I don't see the kid anymore. I said, "What happened?" Well, we called him up and told him not to come back, that we would mail his check to his house. Well, why would you do that? Well, he had a gun here. I said, "What?" Well, yeah, he went into the secretary's office, and at 17 years old, he had a pistol on him, and he was saying that he felt like he would have to protect himself if we kept screaming at him and talking to him like that because nobody was helping him.
Fight or flight. He was in
And
fight.
and he still wanted to do his job.
Hmm.
He still wanted to be here to make money and provide for himself and stuff like that, but he felt the only way that he would be able to protect himself is by using a personal protection device to do so because nobody was hearing him when he was saying you shouldn't be talking to me this way, you shouldn't be treating me this way, when he was asking for help, even though people had spoke out and tried to help, management wasn't doing anything. And when I found out that this happened and I saw the manager in the shop the next time, I went the fuck off, man. I blew up at this guy. I still know this guy to this day. And I don't think he really cares, but I went off. You created this problem. You don't know how to manage. You bred this situation. You suck as a manager. You could have taken care of this so many different ways, and you don't deserve to be a manager. You could have got us all hurt here. And then I would have had to hurt him because I EDC every day. And I'm not going to let somebody take my life or hurt me over something else that's going on. But that was a very, very bad situation to be put in at the dealership. And unfortunately, these types of things happen and people don't ever get to hear these stories.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that people don't get to see. The, they keep that stuff away from, the everyday customer, or they
Yeah.
try to as much as they can. Uh, Working at a dealership, you see a lot on both sides. Um, so
Yeah.
yeah, like I said, that one guy, he threatened to shoot the place up. They did not take that lightly. They took that as a threat, and all threats have to be taken seriously. And he ended up getting fired. He got escorted out, banned from the property. His wife had to come get his last check. Um, he really did have Napoleon syndrome. Uh, yeah, there's been a bunch of stuff. There was actually the old general manager. His office was bulletproof because he got shot at for a bad car deal.
Yeah. You know, it sucks because I wish we could be more honest and open about these types of situations and what happens. I just had to hide this guy because he's talking about all this conspiracy theory stuff in the
Yeah, I saw
comments.
it. I
Um,
can see it. They can't.
it's just, these things happen and nobody gets to hear it. Nobody gets to tell these stories and stuff like that. And I'm hoping through our videos as we slowly grow and people learn to trust us more and we can more openly and honestly talk about the industry, we can share these stories with people so people can learn from them and they can see and better grow as human beings and stuff like that. That, yeah, you know what? It would be nice if more people were thick skinned like they were back in the day. Absolutely. 1000% agree with that. But the fact of the matter is, it's not that way. And everybody reacts to things differently. And now that we have more social media and more cameras everywhere, there's more exposure for seeing all the things that have been happening for years that people never got to see. Joseph Bargo,
No,
I can see it. They can't. Sounds like a conspiracy.
no. He's talking about what I said when you said you had to hide that. I
Yeah,
said
I
I can
know.
see it. They can't
Uh,
because I'm a moderator. I can see
yeah,
deleted messages.
yeah. Wife he refuses to sell the '98 Firebird. We bought it brand new. Has T tops, not for sale. Oh come on! I'm sure if the right money came along, you. I asked a guy recently, what? Who was it that made the? Was it Chrysler that made the wedge engine? It was Chrysler, right? Had the wedge, the old like 400 something cubic inch wedge engine. That one, one carburetor on one side, one on the other, and then the intake would cross over, and the tunnels would meet in the center, like they would go between each other like fingers in the center of the engine. I'd never seen one before. Always heard people talk about it, but I never seen one. In a recent car show that we went to, there was a guy that had a, phew, I don't know if it was a '50s model or early '60s model Chrysler, but he said they only made it for a few years, and it was like number 3 or number 5 or something of so many. And I asked him, I said, this car is extremely nice, and I've never even seen a car like this with this type of engine setup and stuff. And he said, yeah, I've never been to a car show where I've actually seen one with this engine setup and this interior package and everything on this Chrysler. And I was like, this is wild, man. Would any dollar amount buy this vehicle from you? He said, nope, I don't even want to entertain it. And I said, not even if somebody was to offer you like $60,000 for this car, you wouldn't take it. He said, I just told you. And he was getting very upset with me. And this was only the second question I've asked him about. He said, I just told you I would not entertain it. This car will stay in my family. I will go to my deathbed not selling this car. This car will not get sold for any amount of money. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay. I mean, this must be either something's very, very special to this man, or it must be an extremely rare car. And I'd never seen one, even in my going to all these car shows that I go to. I'd never seen one. Yeah, whatever, the Max Wedge. Yeah, I mean, I tried everything with this guy. It just through small talk, just trying to make him. I was trying to like not make him mad at me, so I could at least look at the car longer or something like that, and just trying to butter him up a little bit. And he thought I was seriously trying to offer him some like insane amount of money for this car, and he was like, "You cannot, you won't, you can't buy it. No money will buy this car."
I mean, 60 G's. I mean, I'd have to move the decimal point back the other way a few
Yeah.
spaces.
I mean, but he was very clear that it just no, it's not happening.
Some people love their cars like that. Maybe they got it when they were a teenager or something like that, and they built it, or they bought it
Somebody
brand new.
somebody asked me the other day, could I would I be able to purchase the Grand Marquis for you? And I said, your pockets better be real deep. Let me just tell you that. And the guy said, well, you don't know what I do for a living, but I've been watching you for a while, and I've been really interested in that Grand Marquis. And I figured I'd let you do all the legwork, and once it got done to the point where I wanted it, I could offer you an amount of money. And I said, you fucking sly mother. And he said, so the car is basically where I would want it. I don't want the supercharger and stuff on it. I'd like to have it just the way it is with all the suspension upgrades and the peppier performance and just the regular tune to wake it up some, because I really enjoy those cars. And I said, well, I tell you, I gave a fraction for the car of what it's worth. 6 months ago, a year ago, when COVID was still an issue, um, a little bit more than it is now. These cars with 50 to 60,000 miles were selling for anywhere between 14, $17,000, $18,000. This car has 33,000 miles on it. So this car could easily be 16, 17, $18,000. But you got to understand the fact that I've upgraded the rear suspension to tubular suspension, so it's going to last even longer now. It rides better now. It's more comfortable now than what it was before. All the modifications that needed to be done to this car to make this car what it is, to make it fun, but still have that grandpa car feel, have been done. And that's thousands of dollars and time that I put into it. So for you to pick this car up from me, not only the value, the sentimental value of what it is and how it's been on this channel with every single thing documented since day one, nobody else can even offer you that. I can. You have a entire video diary of every single thing that's been done to this car. Every video that every modification is on video. This car's worth 20 grand easy. I won't let it go for less than 20 grand. Okay, just because I know you think I'm insane of the sentimental value of it, the value to the channel, and the fact that you're actually taking away an income source for me where I'm building this thing and I'm showing other people how to do it. And the guy said, so if I offered you $20,000 for that car, you'd take that $20,000? And I said, no, 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 that's what it would be worth. I didn't say that's what I would take. So he backed out and he was like, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. I said, it take a lot more money than what you think, man. Just because I don't need the money for one. And number two, where are you going to find another one of these cars with 33,000 miles that's part of a channel that is going to continue to keep growing? In 5 years from now, people are going to be watching videos about this particular car. So, and maybe I'll make a big name for myself where somebody 5 years from now will be like, damn, dude, you got 1 million subscribers. You still got that Grand Marquis? Can you like sign it or something like that and sell it to me or whatever? I mean, that would be it would be pretty cool in the future. But I was like, no, I mean the cars. If you're not coming at me with that kind of cash, you can't have this kind of car because they don't even make these kind of reliable cars anymore, and there's still an abundance of parts available. So I'm not gonna sell it for whatever your dinky little prices that you think they're worth. It's not gonna happen.
Better have two deep pockets if they want that car.
Yeah.
There's a my neighbor over here. I've been keeping my eye on it. It's nothing major. It's like a 2012 Fusion. It's got pretty low miles on it. It's been sitting there. I might go knock on his door and offer him some money for it. Go through it, see what he needs, and then flip it. It's black. Like I said, nothing major.
Mm. Even a 250 GTO has a price, but I understand sentimental value. 250 GTO. What do you mean? I don't know what the 250 GTO reference is. Yeah, Jay, we're still on. I want to be in the same boat as you in the morning when we go to work. We're gonna both show up to work at the same time. I'm gonna be looking at you with like the deer in the headlight looks like
You,
uh
you too.
yeah.
I got some major repairs I got to start in the morning.
Mm. I got
That's a,
money in the close out.
but that's okay because I kind of come and go as I please and do what I want.
Yeah. What is that GX ver? Isn't the GX series like an SUV? I thought that's what it was. Oh, I don't know nothing about no Ferraris, man.
Or Audi. We don't know what Audi stands for.
It's a Ferrari. Last I checked, they were valued at 25 million. Hmm.
Are we sure that doesn't say 25 millimeters?
Man,
I
I gotta go to bed. Man, let's go to bed.
don't even know what time it is. What time is it? What time is it? Oh, damn, it's
That's
12:20.
yeah, it's 11:19.
Yeah. Yeah, it's bedtime.
Dev, we in the house, baby. We're partying here. We're telling stories about the dealership, but we're about to go to bed right now.
Because we're responsible adults and we have to go to work.
We're responsible adults that should have been off of here 2 hours ago. Because when we go to work, we're gonna feel like shit tomorrow. I know I'm gonna be like, just leave me alone.
You're going to call me in the
Yeah,
morning. Damn,
look
man.
yeah, yeah. Hey, I could pull the. Hey, I'm the general manager. I can stay up here in my office. I ain't got to come back there. You guys figure it out. I was telling them
You,
today. We had a meeting today, and Jay missed it today, but I had a meeting today, and I told them, I said, guys, there's been. First of all, I want to hear what you guys need. Is there any new tools or anything needs to be changed in the shop? Do I need to buy anything for the shop? What can I get to make you guys more efficient in the shop? First of all, I want to know what your concerns are and what you would like to be changed. And one of the guys did bring up a good point. He said, I'd like for the two of you that are running the place to be a little bit more organized together because I find that one's trying to organize this and the other one's trying to organize that. And sometimes it's a little confusing on what jobs we need to get done in the shop. And I said, that's 1,000% valid because I just brought that up. That was one of my concerns was me and you, me and my business partner, we need to communicate more and we need to talk more. And I do a lot of talking and communicating. And I feel like with him, he's so used to doing it on his own for so long that he's not used to having somebody. So that was definitely, I validated that. That is a valid point. We do need to communicate better. And then nobody else really had anything to say. And I brought up, I told him today, I said, hey, one thing that's bothering me is when I'm on the phone with a customer, especially another customer that's a business owner, and I'm conducting business, and you guys come up to me and it's not super serious. Like if it's serious, obviously get my attention. I'll say, hey, can I give me a second real quick? I got somebody that's an emergency. And if it's something that can't wait, sure, I'll grab my attention real quick. I'll make time. Hey, can I have 1 second? I need to talk to my tech real quick. You say, and I'll be polite and ask and let the customer know. But don't rush up to me when I got the phone to my ear and I'm talking to a customer and it's Rich, 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 and you're being loud about it, and you're like, oh, hey, this, you forgot this dongle inside the car, or somebody forgot this dongle inside the car. Well, go put it in the freaking room where all the rest of the computers and stuff are at. Why are you interrupting me while I'm in the middle of an important business, call with a customer? Money's on the line, his car's on the line, and you're trying to tell me somebody forgot something inside a car? Come on, man, it's kind of rude, man.
So
It's
you know
kind
what you're doing that most places don't? You're
of
communicating with your employees.
Yeah, I mean, I want to hear what their concerns are so I can make the place better, but I also want them to hear what bothers me. And I said I got very few, but this is coming down the pipe from the top, from the main owner of the company. These are also concerns of mine, but he's seeing the same thing. So I ain't the only crazy one here. The whole interrupting me when I'm talking to customers on the phone. There have been customers that have had to stop and they're like tongue tied because they're like, wait, are you talking to somebody else while you're talking to me? Like insinuating that's kind of rude for me to do that because it is, because you guys are interrupting me over something that's piddly. It's not that important. So let's keep that to a minimum, please. And I had addressed that right then and there because it happened like 4 times in the last 3 days.
Dude, the
And
only problem I got. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
today the customer actually said something like, are you, is it me and you talking, or are you actually talking to somebody else as well while you're talking to me? And I was like, oh crap, this guy's not happy right now. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. My tech came up and he wasn't paying attention and he wanted to tell me something, but I'm here right now. I really do apologize. And he was like, okay, so let's finish this conversation so we can get off the phone and we can. And you could tell he got frustrated because it was kind of rude. And I'm sure he was conducting his own business that I was taking away from. And I had to voice that today to let them know it's not really cool when you do that to people that are trying to bring money in for the shop.
The problem that I run into is like, say I'm doing a valve body. I'll have the valve body in my hand and I'm pulling out the last bolt. My nose will start itching. I'll have transmission fluid running down my elbow and my work cell phone rings all at one time. Like, that's the problem.
Mm,
That's the problems that I
mm,
run into.
mm. Yeah, that's good problems.
Mm.
That's obviously frustrating problems. That's good problems to have.
So it's
And then
like, okay, I can't scratch my nose because I got transmission fluid going down both arms. So I can't. And then my work cell phone starts ringing and I can't answer it because I got LV fluid all over me. Like,
yeah, yep, yep. And then I brought up to him today too, and I said another thing that I'm noticing that we can't have is why do we have three guys on one vehicle? That's not efficient at all. That's not efficient at all. We should have maybe two guys at most on one vehicle. Maybe if there's one of the guys that are trying to learn and one of the senior guys that's trying to teach, I'm cool with that. I'm absolutely 100% cool with that. And if another guy in the shop needs his help or whatever, and he needs to bump over and help him, I'm cool with that. Two guys on a vehicle, I'm cool with. If you guys are working together and you're trying to get it done and somebody's not doing something, three guys on a vehicle, four guys on a vehicle, sometimes with nobody doing that is not going to happen here. That is not efficient. That doesn't get the other customers' cars done. There's no reason for that unless it's like, oh my God, come look at this kind of thing. And then I understand, look at it and go back. But that's been brought up a couple times lately is people straying away from the jobs that they're supposed to be on. I went out front today. I went out to side shop this morning and I caught one of my guys, one guy working. He's a really, really good worker. He starts working as soon as he gets there. He doesn't like to not be working. He likes to stay busy. And he was wiring in these LED lights for this Jeep or something like that, some special Jeep lights that all have to be wired and soldered in. It's like some special kit that seems like it's too damn frustrating for anybody's Why would you buy a light kit that you have to go through all that? That is ridiculous. That's not even worth putting the lights in your vehicle if you're going to have to cut and solder all these wires and stuff like that. Completely ridiculous. But he's doing all this special soldering and wiring and stuff to get these lights to work per the instructions. And the other guy comes up and he's leaning across the front of the Jeep like this, and he's watching him do all the wire work and stuff, and he's just sitting there. And I said, I wonder how long I stand here before this guy sees me. And I'm standing in a direct line through the door, and I'm watching him watch the other guy. And I'm like, sip on my water here for a second. I'm watching. About 5 minutes later, I'm watching. He still doesn't see me. 6, 7 minutes later, I'm watching, sipping on my water. I go walk outside and say, hey, what's going on? The light's coming along pretty good, huh? Well, oh, you're helping him? Oh, yep. I'm going inside right now. I'm gonna start taking out trash and stuff right now. I'm gonna go make myself busy right now. I'm like, you son of a gun. you, you, you want to make yourself busy right now. I know how it is. I don't get mad at them. I never get mad at them for any of that stuff. I was a tech once. I'm still a tech. I mean, I still go back there and I'm wrenching and stuff like that. I don't ever get mad or make them feel uncomfortable about anything that they do at work like that as well. I understand, man. I'm still in the business. I just came from being on the floor. I get it. But I don't ever yell at them like, don't fucking do that or whatever. I'm like, hey guys, look, go back to work, man. I think it's comical sometimes, you know. I'm like, go back to work, go find something to do, go clean something, go throw some trash or something out, go change the oil on that car or whatever. This brake job just came in. Just go make yourself busy. Don't be standing around just looking at people work. If you're
They'll come up
learning
with
it,
some they come
huh?
up with some crazy excuses. Like, man,
Yeah,
were you sleeping? Nah, man, I had a gnat in my eye. I was trying to suffocate
like, um, I don't ever get mad at them for stuff. The only, the only two people that really get upset with each other are me and my business partner. But that's normal. We're trying
That's
to run the
normal.
business. Yeah, we're trying to run the business together. I really don't get upset with at the employees at all. Like Jay, um, I'm pretty fair with everybody. I joke with everybody and stuff like that. Even when I get frustrated, I kind of hide it and deal with it in a different way, other than making employees feel like really uncomfortable or inferior to me or something like that. I don't do that. Let's see.
But for anybody that does want to call in sick to work, I have the best line that you can use. Best excuse. I don't know if it would work for you though, Rich.
Uh,
Just tell them you got anal glaucoma.
oh my God.
You don't see your ass going to work.
Catfish or crappie? Um, I like the
Catfish.
I like I like the taste of I would think crappie stir fry better, but I love catfishing.
I don't eat fish unless it's shrimp.
Shrimp.
Hey, look up cooking with Christopher Walken.
Oh man.
That
Walleye's
is
good.
that is hilarious, dude.
Top of the rock, good night. He says good night. Hey man, let's go to bed. Let's get out of
All
here.
right, we're going to bed.
Hey, I'm gonna go to bed. My eyes are starting to burn. Today this Cadillac at this intersection hit an ambulance going through the light. It was bad. Okay. You guys are gonna you guys are gonna keep us going here. I want to go to bed. We've been out here for over 3 hours. I never been on a live this long. Well, I don't think I have anyway.
I don't think I
Good
have
night,
either.
guys. Thank you guys for staying on here with us. That I can't believe y'all don't have nothing to do better than just watch us or whatever. But
On on a Wednesday.
on a Wednesday, right? Yeah. Good night, man. Good night,
Right.
y'all.
Later.
I'll see you.